multiple worlds collecting cards from Naruto. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 276, The Strongest Devil Fruit. The strongest fighting force has arrived. When hearing this, Nami, Robin and Orochimaru all reacted. Only Marshal Sengoku and Garp, the Navy, didn't know what Chen Tian meant by this. Isn't he just a watermelon rind, my guy? Our Navy has long collected information about him. Although his fighting power is strong, an admiral is enough to deal with him. Just relying on this watermelon rind, do you want to scare off so many Navy soldiers? It's simply a fantasy. Well, Nami stretched her waist at this time and then said with a relaxed look, he arrived in time, but since he is here, we are relieved. Anyway, I won't be needed in the next battle. It's true that he came in time. In fact, if he arrived earlier, this battle would not have to last so long. Whether it is Whitebeard or Kato, or the Navy we are facing now, they can be easily solved. Orochimaru also nodded and gave up the idea of fighting with Sengoku and Garp because it was no longer necessary. Because this is what they decided when they discussed the plan before. If things can't be done, they will just turn the table over. Just as they were chatting, a man wearing a green tights, a watermelon-shaped head, and a pair of thick eyebrows suddenly appeared in front of Chen Tian. Turning his head and looking at Chen Tian, Might Guy said, "Are you okay? The rest of the battle is left to me." Chen Tian looked at Might Guy, who suddenly appeared in front of him. He always felt that K seemed to be holding back a lot of anger, but he just didn't burst it out for the time being. But it's normal to think about it. He and K have been friends since childhood. During this period, they have experienced two worlds. Now seeing his current appearance, it is normal for K to be angry. Okay, then I'll leave it to you, but you have to eat this before the battle. As he spoke, Chen Tian took out a very special devil fruit from the gravity space. This devil fruit is the most suitable one for K that he has encountered in the process of collecting devil fruits for so many years. But because these people have never wanted to use devil fruits, Chen Tian can only keep it. But now it has come to the last moment. If you still want to defeat these people, you must open the 8th gate of the 8 gates, the Death Gate. In this way, even if he defeats these people, K himself can't think of continuing to live. Chen Tian will never allow this kind of thing to happen, so at this last moment, he gave this devil fruit to my guy, and he must eat it, whether he wants to or not. Ugh, it's so disgusting. Without saying a word, K took it, and took a bite. He immediately fell to the ground, and began to dry heave, and pinched his neck with both hands, as if he couldn't live anymore. Looking at Might Guy's current half-dead appearance, the others couldn't help but shudder, and secretly swore in their hearts that they would never eat the devil fruit. But Chen Tian showed a satisfied smile. The reason why this devil fruit was specially reserved for Might Guy was because it had the greatest bonus to him. Although to be precise, this devil fruit does not have any bonus to combat power, and can only be regarded as an auxiliary function, but this function is very amazing, especially when used with Might Guy. This devil fruit is a superhuman self-healing fruit. Its only function is to quickly heal itself. If it is developed to the awakening stage, it will be a low-profile immortal body. Even if there is a drop of blood, it can be resurrected directly. Might Guy has just taken it now, so it is naturally impossible for him to directly control the awakening. However, as long as he eats this devil fruit, even if he uses the 8 gates, he can only lie in bed for a while, and then he can jump around again. It's just a muscle tear, a comminuted fracture, etc. For Guy, it's just a drop of water. It is worth mentioning that before Chen Tian arrived, this devil fruit was a devil fruit that was regarded as waste by others. It was worth only 90 million baileys, which was not even as good as those of the most trashy animal series. Because this devil fruit only increases the recovery ability, it does not have even the slightest bonus to attack power, defense power, speed, etc. In other words, even if you eat this devil fruit, you will still be injured and beaten. It's just that after being beaten, your recovery speed will be faster than others. This effect is very useless. For example, in the future, Luffy can recover, no matter how many injuries he suffers, as long as he eats and drinks a lot. The effect is no worse than this devil fruit. But when Chen Tian saw this devil fruit for the first time, he decided to get it, no matter how much it cost. K's strongest form is after opening the 8th gate of the 8 gates, but opening the 8th gate means K's death. But after having this devil fruit, although he couldn't open the 8 gates at will in the early stage, he had to lie in bed for a while after every desperate effort. But when he mastered the awakening level, even if he opened the 8th gate every day when eating and sleeping, there was no problem. As the saying goes, there is no worse devil fruit, only the worst ability user. The strength of each devil fruit is not what it can represent, but is determined by its owner. Chen Tian is very sure that after K has this self-healing fruit, this healing fruit is the strongest devil fruit. Even Whitebeard's tremor fruit cannot compare with it. The reason is very simple. With the self-healing fruit, K, who can open the death gate infinitely, is definitely more powerful than Whitebeard. This is a wonderful chemical reaction of the two worlds. As long as there is a little change, the strongest human can be created. After etching for a long time, Might Guy rolled his eyes and barely recovered. Seeing the devil fruit in his hand, that he had only bitten, K was suddenly smart, and threw it far away. They had long known that the devil fruit only needs to be bitten once, and it is not necessary to eat it all, so K threw it without any burden. After curiously feeling his body, and finding no obvious changes, K put it all behind his mind, and came to the front of Sengoku and Garp. The 8th gate of the 8 gates of ninjutsu, Death Gate, open. With a loud shout, powerful chakra continued to surge, and directly surrounded him. K was surrounded by blue flames, looking very brutal. But after opening the death gate, K suddenly found that there was a difference in his body. Before eating this devil fruit, K knew in his heart that he could only last for 5 seconds at most after opening the death gate. But now, he could sense that his body was healing like crazy. Even if the death gate was opened, he could last for a long time. According to his estimation, it should be 1 minute. If the situation continued to develop like this, after the battle was over, he would be fully recovered if he lay down for half a month. Garb, do you feel the breath emanating from that watermelon rind? I can feel an extreme threat from him, just like an ant staring at an elephant. After K opened the death gate, Zanjiuo had a serious face, staring at him with his eyes, and did not dare to make any moves for the time being. Garp on the side also nodded and replied, I have the same feeling. It's really weird. He is just a core member in the intelligence, but he gave me such a threatening feeling. Even rocks, I never felt such a threat. If my guess is right, the strength of that watermelon rind is definitely terrifying. Zanjiuo really wanted to say, I'm not blind, you don't need to tell me this kind of thing. Just thinking about the current situation, Zanjiuo wisely chose to shut up. Just by looking at the scene that occurred after K opened the 8 gates, Sengoku and Garp instantly became alert. Chapter 277 The Powerful K. You all retreat, leave this to me. At this moment, Might Guy took a step forward and spoke softly, but his voice resounded like a bell, and a terrifying aura spread out from then on. The boiling sea, which was originally boiling because of the fighting among the people, also calmed down at this moment. He looked like an angry god at this moment. When the others heard his voice, they did not hesitate at all. They immediately found an opportunity to withdraw, and pushed to Chen Tian's side in one breath. This big guy has already started to fight desperately, and now he has burst out in such a powerful state. Since he has spoken, they will definitely not have any objection. Then Might Guy's eyes swept over Sengoku and Garp, and said, originally, I and the 10,000 Worlds pirates did not want to fight with the Navy, but you have repeatedly targeted us, so you must pay the price. This sentence stunned Garp and Sengoku. You don't want to fight with the Navy. Are we looking for trouble again and again? But thinking about it carefully, it seems to be true. Before this time, they had fought with the Bankei pirates many times, but most of the opponents held back and retreated directly. They had never fought to the death with them. Moreover, the Bankei pirates seemed to have done nothing to harm the Navy except for attacking the celestial dragons. But I think so, but I can't say it. If you want me to pay the price, it depends on your ability. Garp clenched his fists and said solemnly. Although he felt a threatening aura from Might Guy, as a naval hero, he would never retreat even a step. Even if Might Guy's strength was really above his own, he would never retreat. He was a vice admiral of the Navy headquarters and a naval hero with justice. He could lose the battle, but he could not admit defeat. At this time, 3 admirals, Akainu, Kizaru and Aokiji, also rushed over. They all stood beside Sengoku and Garp. Next came Teotu and Chatten, 2 generals, and then the Lieutenant Generals Weasel and the 2 agents of CP0. They hated Chen Tian, because Chen Tian made them like clowns, fooled by others, and it was embarrassing to rush around. This method was undoubtedly hateful. Now this group of people wanted to eat Chen Tian alive and drink his blood. Everyone came, so it's good. I don't have to look for them one by one. Might Guy said this sincerely. Although the death gate can be opened for 1 minute after the healing fruit, it is still too short. The moment the voice fell, the powerful and terrifying chakra instantly enveloped the place, and blue fireworks appeared between the sky and the earth, blooming more thoroughly and more beautifully at this moment. No one can be careless, and don't hold back, just because the opponent has fewer people. The strength of this watermelon peel may be far beyond our imagination. Marshals and GUO couldn't help but remind him at this time, so as not to cause any problems due to carelessness. He was not worried about Akainu at all, because the other party was a pirate, and Akainu would definitely not show any mercy, no matter if the other party was one person or a group of people. He was worried about Aokiji and others, who might be careless, because they saw that the other party was only one person. In fact, there is no difference, whether you are careless or not. There will be no difference, because you are all weak. Ever since seeing Chen Tian's current embarrassed appearance, Might Guy was really angry, and changed his previous style, showing aggressiveness everywhere. In a flash, Might Guy only took a step, but his figure appeared directly in front of Garp like a flash of light, chakra wrapped around his fist, and then punched out. The whole action was like flowing water, without the slightest delay. Even Garp almost didn't react. He almost reacted in an instant with his 6th sense, and his armed color domineering was pushed to the extreme by him, and then he faced Might Guy's fist and hit it hard. Bang! A muffled sound was heard, and then everyone, including Marshal Sengoku, stared with their eyes wide open. They couldn't believe what they saw, but they knew very clearly that this was the truth. In such a simple duel, Garp actually flew backwards and fell into the sea. This is their naval hero, a legendary figure known as Iron Fist. How could he be defeated so easily by the opponent? It's a bit interesting. If I had given him enough reaction time, he might have been able to block my punch, but I didn't use my full strength. Might Guy looked at Garp falling into the sea and said calmly, after having the healing fruit, he didn't have to continue to race against time, so he still mocked and ridiculed in various ways, and had to vent his anger for Chen Tian. One blow blasted Garp away. Although the previous attack was a sneak attack, that was Iron Fist Garp. Even if he used a sneak attack, how many people could knock him away? Well, only the holder of the protagonist's halo, Garp's grandson, the future pirate King Luffy, has that ability. After all, in the original plot, in the future war on the top, he punched Garp away. And Garp at that time, didn't let go at all. Because he let go of the sea, the largest sea in the world of One Piece. Even Vice Admiral Garp. Isn't this watermelon rind too strong? Seeing such a scene in front of him, Aokiji's face was full of disbelief. He admires Garp very much. Whether it is his way of dealing with people or his strength, he is a person he admires very much. But in the moment just now, he saw that although Garp reacted, he also responded in time. But that kind of reaction didn't work at all, and he was directly blown away by Might Guy. Iron Fist Garp was blown away by a watermelon-headed fist. I guess no one dared to believe it, and no one would be willing to believe it. Don't be scared by the enemy, it's just a watermelon rind. Dark Dog. Akainu is the kind of person who thinks everything is the greatest. Even if the opponent just blasted Garp away, he would not be afraid at all. In other words, he believes that the responsibility and justice he shoulders do not allow any fear or mercy in his heart. As long as it is necessary, he will use his own strength to defend the justice he firmly believes in. Seeing Akainu's move, Kizaru and Aokiji naturally could not sit idly by. The sky cloud sword and ice explosion mouth were unfolded at the same time, and at the same time, Marshal Sengoku also used a big Buddha attack to blast towards Might Guy. The other navy followed closely behind, with sword energy, abilities, and the 6 styles of the navy. All kinds of attacks were thrown in the direction of Might Guy. Even the 4 emperors could not resist the attacks of so many navy strongmen. After all, the admirals themselves were equivalent to the 4 emperors. At this moment, the 3 admirals took action, plus the Navy Marshal Sengoku, 2 alternate admirals, and many Navy vice admirals. Even Whitebird, who is known as the strongest man in the world, had to avoid such an attack. But Might Guy didn't even blink. He simply clenched his fist, looked calm, and then swung it gently. Boom. The deafening sound, like thunder, broke through the sky, and the powerful force completely submerged Might Guy's body. The whole island was shaking wildly at this moment, as if it would sink into the sea in the next moment. Chapter 278 The End of the War. Looking at the area where countless forces mixed and exploded, the people present had different expressions, some worried, some vigilant, and some expectant. Only Chen Tian and Orochimaru looked indifferent, as if they didn't care what was going on Might Guy's side, because they both knew how powerful Might Guy was now. He was already strong enough to suppress everything. If he got angry, he could overthrow the Marine headquarters alone. As those forces gradually dissipated, the unharmed Might Guy appeared in everyone's sight again. Your strength is indeed quite good, but compared to the captain, it's still far behind. At this moment, Might Guy remembered Chen Tian, who had reached the level of 6 paths. Whether it was the 3 admirals or Sengoku, they were too weak compared to Chen Tian at the time. This is really terrible. Kizaru was floating in the air at this time, looking at Might Guy below, and said solemnly. Although he liked to tease and joke, he didn't joke at all this time. Might Guy is really scary. How can a strong man who can be unscathed by such an attack just now not be scary? This is impossible. How can he be so strong? Teo too said that she couldn't believe what she saw at the moment. At that moment, her worldview had collapsed a little. But there was one thing she couldn't understand. The Wanji pirates actually had such a terrifying existence as Might Guy. Why didn't they just bring the entire new world under their rule? In this situation, she felt that neither Whitebird, Kaido nor Red Hair would be the opponent of the Wanji pirates. Not to mention other things, just because there is a Might Guy. As he said, Might Guy slowly floated up using chakra. He clenched his fists towards the people below. The powerful chakra wrapped around his fists quickly condensed and emitted a dazzling light. Get out of the way. Sengoku felt a great crisis and roared directly, but he didn't mean to get out of the way. Instead, he stepped forward and gathered all his strength in his palms, trying to counter Might Guy's power. He is the admiral of the navy. Although he is seen by others as a marshal who likes to play tricks, he will still stand at the forefront when facing a crisis. It's just a pirate. How can I avoid it? Big fire. Akainu has no idea of avoiding it. He would rather die on the spot than live in humiliation. Ice Age. Yoshikuni no Magatama. None of the navy generals chose to retreat. At this moment, a figure suddenly rushed out from the sea, using moonstep and shave in succession, and quickly went towards Might Guy. Seeing the appearance of this figure, many navy eyes became more determined. Iron Fist. Garp still had blood on the corner of his mouth at this moment, but his momentum had reached the extreme. At this time, he could not retreat, and the navy could not retreat either. It's okay to lose the battle, but it's absolutely not okay to lose without fighting. Might Guy's eyes flashed with admiration, and then he retracted his fist and suddenly blasted it out. The powerful force was like the sun shining on the ground, and the dazzling light covered everything in an instant. Boom. Under this punch, the sea howled in pain, struggling with its body in anger, and the endless tsunami hit it wantonly, as if venting its pain. In the direction where Might Guy's fist fell, half of the island had disappeared, and a huge hole appeared on the sea surface. The bottom could not be seen at a glance. Even if countless seawater suddenly irrigated it, it could not be completely filled. As for those navy officers floating on the sea, some of them sank directly. The devil fruit ability users were abandoned by the sea. Among all the high-ranking navy officers, except for Vice Admiral Churu, who did not come up to fight head-on, only Garp remained awake. He actually forcibly withstood Might Guy's punch, but his whole body was covered with blood. The whole person almost became a bloody man. He gasped for breath, as if he was about to be unable to breathe. At this time, Might Guy had closed the 8 gates in time. The punch just now was enough, and the rest of the mess could be cleaned up by others. Because the entire battle lasted only 30 seconds, he had not yet reached his limit. After closing the death gate, although he fell to the ground in pain, he found that there was no major problem with his body. Perhaps he would be able to fully recover in less than a week. Orochimaru came to Might Guy's back as soon as possible and helped him stand firmly without being discovered by the Navy. Vice Admiral Churu, don't be impulsive. I don't mean to continue fighting with you. It's too early to decide life and death. But the people who were killed just now also had their own faults. Looking at the Navy fleets approaching quickly and the Navy who were ready to die, Chen Tian flashed and drew his long sword, pointing at Garp and whispered, in the final analysis, this time it was you Navy who committed suicide. I'm fighting Whitebeard and Kaido well, why are you here? To join in the fun. This is true. If the Navy hadn't taken the initiative to join in the fun, Chen Tian would not have troubled them. After all, the strength of the 10,000 world's pirates is not enough to conquer the world. This time it was Might Guy who fought desperately. Chen, do you want to fight to the death with our Navy? Vice Admiral he raised his hand to stop the Navy soldiers who were about to rush forward and then spoke with a serious face. Isn't it a life and death situation between me and the Navy? To be honest, I haven't provoked the Navy. At most, I killed a few idiot celestial dragons. Are you Navy really a pair of dogs raised by the world government and the celestial dragons? After a pause, Chen said, besides, I was not a pirate in the beginning. It was you who forced me to become a pirate step by step, and then kept chasing me. How dare you say this now? Looking at Vice Admiral Churu's expression without changing his expression, Chen shook his head indifferently and chuckled. I don't want to say more nonsense with you. If you want to save your Navy commanders, you need to pay a sufficient price. As the largest force on the sea, the Navy headquarters should have a lot of devil fruits, right? Hand over 50 devil fruits and I will let them go. Killing the Navy commanders here is not a wise choice, and it is impossible to kill them all, because neither Chen himself nor Nami, Robin, or Orochimaru and others have much strength left. Although the Navy commanders had been crippled by Might Guy, there were still many Navy soldiers. If they really fought, they would not feel good either. In this case, it would be better to exchange the lives of these Navy commanders for some benefits. Devil fruits are exactly what they need most. If they can exchange for 50 devil fruits, the system's energy will soon be accumulated enough. Don't even think about it. The Navy will not compromise with pirates like you. Garp half knelt on the ground and raised his head, looking at Chen fiercely, and let out a hoarse roar. He wanted to stand up, but the moment he moved he felt severe pain all over his body. The pain penetrated deep into his bones, and even though his willpower was enough to support him, his body would not obey him. Compared to the furious Garp, Vice Admiral Churu was much calmer. She looked at Chen and said, 50 devil fruits are too many, and the Navy headquarters cannot provide so many devil fruits. I can give you 20 at most. Don't challenge my patience, Vice Admiral Churu. This is a notification, not a request. Here are the 3 admirals with the highest combat effectiveness in the Navy headquarters, Marshal Sengoku, the Navy hero Garp, 2 Navy candidate admirals and a group of vice admirals of the headquarters. Don't you think their lives combined are not worth 50 devil fruits? Of course, I also believe that the Navy headquarters cannot provide it for the time being, but don't you have the world government behind you? 50 devil fruits are a very small number for the world government. Chapter 279 Whitebeard retreats. Chen was not lying. Devil fruits are the least valuable thing to the world government. For example, the 3 sisters of Pirate Queen Boa and Hancock were given 3 devil fruits, just because the celestial dragons wanted to play with them. It can be seen that devil fruits are not valuable to them, and there are many of them. Chen walked to Garp step by step. He was not worried that Garp would attack him at this time. I'm not a businessman and I don't like to bargain. I will take Aokiji, Kizaru, Mamoto, Chatten and Garp away. You can redeem them when you have collected enough devil fruits. After the words fell, Orochimaru and others immediately took action and tied up all the people mentioned by Chen. After taking these guys back, they had to be bound with Seaston. As for Marshal Sengoku and Akainu, Chen Tian planned to let them go. Sengoku is a very rational and smart person. He will definitely make the most correct decision after waking up. Akainu is a troublesome guy. It is easier to throw him back than to catch him, so that he won't be scolded in the Bankei pirates all day long. Hurry up and save people. After saving them, go and collect devil fruits immediately. Otherwise, Garp and the others will not be alive. Remember, Vice Admiral Churu, I only give you 1 month. If you can't deliver the devil fruits in 1 month, none of Garp and the others will survive. After throwing this sentence, Chen Tian turned and left. Orochimaru will deal with the things here, and with Garp and others in his hands. He is not worried that Vice Admiral Churu will do something irrational. Now it's time to meet the old man Whitebeard. The island where Jiraiya is located has been riddled with holes in the war, and there are traces of destruction everywhere, and the surrounding area is a scorched earth. Jiraiya, I didn't expect that a core member of the Bankei pirates would have such strength, but you are still a little weak. Whitebeard looked serious at this moment, and the extremely powerful vibration spread in all directions, and the sky seemed to be cracked under this terrifying power. He is known as the strongest man in the world, and he also has the power to destroy the world. His strength is even stronger than Jiraiya. It's just that he is much older now. If he was in his prime, even Jiraiya would have difficulty resisting his terrifying power. But even if he is old, he is not something that everyone can defeat. He and Jiraiya have been fighting here for several days, but he still has enough physical strength. He is only 3 years younger than he was during the war, and his strength is directly a world of difference. It's time to end Jiraiya. Whitebeard exerted force on his right arm, and the muscles on his arm were tense. At the same time, white light condensed on his fist, as if the sound of a broken mirror slowly came out, and then a huge vibration sound resounded through the sky. Seeing him condense such power, Jiraiya's face became much uglier. Take my move. Whitebeard shouted loudly, and a fist containing terrifying power was fiercely smashed towards Jiraiya's position. The armed color domineering plus the vibration power that he had developed to the extreme burst out directly. This punch gave people a feeling of destroying the heaven and earth, and the space in front was visibly distorted. Jiraiya gathered his chakra and rushed forward fearlessly. His white hair collided fiercely with the vibration of Whitebeard. Boom. This explosion caused the earth to crack. If it were a slightly smaller island, the force generated by the two people's bombardment would probably sink the island directly. Seeing this scene, even Mako and others on the side had their faces changed rapidly, with shock flashing in their eyes. He can actually take the attack of his father head on. This Jiraiya is really amazing. Even the 4 emperors like Kaido or Shanks would not dare to take the attack of his father like this. I don't know how much time has passed, and the powerful fluctuations that erupted from the fight between Jiraiya and Whitebeard have only slightly weakened. But at this time, Jiraiya couldn't help but gasp, and Whitebeard's situation was not much better. After all, he was old. Although he was not as old as the level of the war at the top, he was not as good as when he was young. Old man Whitebeard, you've made enough trouble, haven't you? You've made my island so bad that it's unbearable to look at, and your sons are almost at their limit. Are you sure you want to continue making trouble? At this moment, a helpless voice came into Whitebeard's ears, and Chen Tian, who had changed into a new set of clothes, walked towards Whitebeard step by step. He stopped and stood less than 5 meters away from Whitebeard, with a faint sweat flashing in his eyes. If you continue to make trouble, it will not be good for both of us. You should have seen the strength of my Bankei pirates. If it weren't for the Navy and Kaido holding back several core members under my command, it would not be just Jiraiya who is here now. Perhaps Chen Tian, Jiraiya, Minato and others are not as strong as Whitebeard, the strongest man in the world, but in terms of overall strength, the Whitebeard pirates are indeed not as strong as the Bankei pirates. All the core members added together, these people's combat effectiveness is more than 1 level stronger than those captains under Whitebeard. Chen Tian, are you threatening me? And what do you mean by enough trouble? You, the people of the Bankei pirates, attacked my son. I'm just here to seek justice. Whitebeard narrowed his eyes, and he was not in a hurry to attack. He stared at Chen Tian closely, and a low-level voice came out of his mouth. If you think it is a threat, then it is a threat. Chen Tian raised the corner of his mouth, revealing those arrogant smiles on his face. He was really not afraid of Whitebird. As for seeking justice, I don't believe that you, an old man, don't know that the real mastermind of that matter is Kado. You may come here to seek justice, but at the same time, you also want to knock on me, a kid who has just become one of the 4 emperors, right? As he said at the beginning, he didn't think Whitebird couldn't see that this was Kado's calculation, but this old guy saw it, but still came with the Whitebird pirates. One is that he wants to let everyone in the world know that if you provoke his son, he will definitely be retaliated by him, and the other is that he may also want to test how powerful the Bankai pirates are. Hulala. Chen Tian boy, I still think highly of you. How about you be my son? Then everything will be written off. Whitebird smiled and said to Chen Tian, although he knew it was impossible. How could a man who could become the king of the sea be his son? Don't joke, Whitebird. I'm not in the mood now. Take your people away from the 10,000 worlds pirates. I won't take the initiative to provoke you. This matter ends here. If you must seek justice, I suggest you go to that guy Kado of Beasts. Of course, if you want to start a full-scale war, I will accompany you to the end. Chen Tian's eyes condensed, and the domineering aura of the king also emanated from him. If they really wanted to fight, he was not afraid of the Whitebird pirates. And if a full-scale war broke out, Whitebird would not be mentioned for the time being, but none of his sons would survive. It might be difficult for Minato to win against the 4 emperors, but with his fighting style, anyone weaker than him would never be able to escape from him. What's more, there are Jiraiya, Orochimaru, Kakashi and my guy. Chen Tian really doesn't take the Whitebird pirates seriously. Now that we've come to this point, let's stop here. But Chen Tian, no matter how much it was Kado's plan, the people who did it were indeed under your command. So, you owe me this, and you have to pay it back in the future. Chapter 280 Give me a face. Soon Whitebird left with his men. The only person he needed to deal with today was Kado. But before that, he had one more thing to deal with. Old man Whitebird said I owed him one. If that counts, do you owe me one too? Chen Tian stood there, as if speaking to the air, and said slowly, the 4 emperors are here. What's the point of hiding? Besides, you should hide better. The Dreyfus is so big that everyone can see it, right? When he came to the island, he saw a special pirate ship parked in the other direction of the island. The strong man represented by that flag was red-haired Shanks, one of the 4 emperors who reigned over the new world, just like Whitebird, Kado and Chen Tian. If it weren't for this guy being on the island, he would have to fight with Whitebird. After all, he had come to attack his own island. But with Shanks here, it was another matter. The current Bankai pirates cannot provoke the other 3 emperors at the same time, unless my guy has mastered the self-healing fruit to the awakening stage and directly defeated the other 3 emperors. But that is impossible. How can the devil fruit just eat and awaken so easily? It will take at least 10 years. As for Shanks's purpose, he can almost guess it. This guy's different from other pirates. It is unlikely that he came here for profit. It is more likely to maintain the current stable situation in the new world. So if Whitebird is defeated by the Bankai pirates, he will stop Chen Tian's side. And if the Bankai pirates are defeated by Whitebird, he will also stop Whitebird's side. Ha 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 ha, I didn't expect to be discovered so soon. At this moment, Shanks walked out from the side with his men, and said with a laugh, so I said that we should take the time to hide the ship. It's all Beckman. You said we don't need to care about these details, otherwise we wouldn't be discovered. Well, then we finally meet again, the demon god Chen Tian. Haha, I wondered who it was. It turns out to be you. You come here to drink again, but you don't look like it. Zeron turned his head and looked at Shanks, who came out and chuckled, then spoke. Chen Tian turned around at this time, stared at the red-haired man, and said in a deep voice, Shanks, I give you this face. Whitebird has already left. Your goal has been achieved. But I hope you don't interfere with the other thing. Otherwise, you won't be able to come to the Bank of the World's Pirates to drink in the future. Hearing this, Shanks's face changed instantly, and his eyes became much gloomier. Chen Tian, have you considered what will happen if Kado dies? When the territory of an emperor is vacated, the new world will be in chaos, and everyone will compete for this vacant position. This time your Bank of the World's Pirates has no losses. Can't we stop here? Stop here? Ha 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 ha. Chen Tian covered his face with his left hand. His laughter sounded a little crazy, and the domineering aura burst out at this moment. Are you kidding me, Shanks? As a pirate, you are so naive. It really makes me laugh. Whether there is damage or not is my business. If the Bank of the World's pirates did not have the strength it has today, then my head would not be able to stay on my neck. I can spare Whitebird and stop this war for your sake, but if Kaido doesn't cut off his dragon head, how can I rule the 10,000 worlds? Or do you plan to fight me on behalf of Kaido? As soon as the voice fell, Jiraiya and others who were originally planning to take a break suddenly became serious. They even formed a siege to surround the people of the Red Hair Pirates. Seeing this situation, Ben Beckman and others also grabbed their weapons. If they wanted to fight, they would definitely not be afraid at all, but going to war with the 10,000 worlds pirates was not their original intention to come here. And now they are almost clear about one thing. After the 10,000 worlds pirates free up their hands, they will definitely have the ability to fight 2 of the 4 emperors at the same time. Chen, you guy. Shanks' eyes condensed, and a domineering aura that was no less than Chen's was like a hurricane sweeping across the 4 directions. Under his terrifying domineering aura, ordinary pirates shook their bodies and almost fell to the ground. I'm not discussing with you, Shanks. If you want to take action, you'd better do it quickly. If you don't, you can do whatever you want here, and no one will restrict you. With that, Chen Tian turned around and walked directly towards the direction of the ship of the 10,000 worlds. All of you come with me. Leave one person to notify the others to surround the surrounding sea area to prevent Kaido from escaping. This time, Kaido must not be allowed to leave alive. Seeing Chen Tian and Jiraiya and others leave directly, Shanks stood there for a long time with a gloomy face and finally turned around and left the island with his men. It is unwise to start a war with the 10,000 worlds pirates here. It is already very good to stop the fight between Chen Tian and Whitebird. As for Kaido, he has no suitable reason to intervene, and he doesn't have a good impression of Kaido. If Chen Tian is willing to give him face, it would be great. Now Chen Tian is unwilling to give him this face, so he can only leave. If he wants to start a battle with the 10,000 worlds pirates, no matter what the outcome, this new world will only be more chaotic. Beckman, what do you think of Kaido this time? Shanks couldn't help asking after he boarded the Dreyfus. Before he finished speaking, Ben Beckman shook his head and said seriously, Morning Sky is not joking. Even if Kaido can escape alive, the 10,000 worlds pirates will launch a general attack on the Beast's pirates after a short rest. Captain, don't forget that 5 years ago, Morning Sky destroyed an emperor before he was able to ascend to the throne of the 4 emperors. Now, even if he wants to destroy another emperor, it is not impossible. On the other side, the battle between Minato and Kaido was earth-shattering. No one else could intervene because the strength of these 2 guys far exceeded them. Roger, who was resurrected by the impure world reincarnation before, also dissipated himself after fighting for a while because of Orochimaru's immature technology. But even now, the 2 sides have not decided a winner. However, Minato did indeed hold Kaido back, but because the latter's vitality and defense were too strong, he was unable to injure the other party. Boy, you are really strong, but unfortunately I'm immortal. No matter how strong you are, you can't kill me. I don't believe you won't get tired if you keep fighting. As long as you get tired, the only ending is that you will die at my hands. Kaido said fiercely while resisting Minato's attack. He was too frustrated. As one of the 4 emperors, he was suppressed by a core member of the Bankai pirates. Although it was not completely suppressed, he was indeed at a disadvantage in terms of direct combat. Minato's space ninjutsu was too strong. He could dodge his attacks and counterattack every time. If it weren't for his strong vitality, he would have fallen down long ago. But the reason why he could be the throne of the 4 emperors was because of his strong vitality. Not to mention Minato, even the old man Whitebird couldn't kill him. Indestructible, Zhao duo. Do you want to wait until I'm tired? At this moment, Minato suddenly grinned and looked into the distance. Chapter 281 The immortal body must die. Well, what's going on? Looking in the direction of Minato, Kaido was suddenly stunned. He saw Chen Tian and his group slowly approaching. Is Chen Tian finally here? This war has lasted too long, and it's time to end it. Minato sensed multiple powerful forces in the distance, and breathed a sigh of relief. Kado was right. His chakra and physical strength had indeed reached the bottom. If he continued to persist, he would definitely be the one who lost. Kado beasts, are you ready to hand over your head? Chen Tian walked out slowly, followed by Jiraiya, Orochimaru and others. There were also many other people who surrounded this sea area to prevent Kado from escaping from here. Seeing Chen Tian's appearance, Kado's face suddenly changed. He knew very well what Chen Tian's appearance here with so many people meant. It meant that Whitebird retreated, and the navy withdrew. Although he didn't know what the specific situation was, he might be in danger now, especially since he had sensed a person who was equivalent to Minato among the group of people behind Chen Tian. Crazy demon sage Jiraiya, including Chen Tian. There are 3 strong men who are as strong as him. In this situation, he has no chance of winning. Suddenly, a pirate came from a distance, holding a short knife in his hand and a lifeless fat man in his other hand. I received a notification just when I approached here, so I came directly. As for this guy in my hand, I should have completed the task very well. Quinn has been killed by me, and the others have been defeated and handed over to the people below to deal with, Kakashi said calmly. With his strength, it is not a problem to kill Quinn. And watching him drag Quinn's body over, Kado's face became more and more ugly, so gloomy that water was about to drip out. Then he has 3 main fighting forces under his command, Jin, Quinn and Jack. Now one has been killed. As for the situation of the other 2, I think it will not be much better. The freed up 1G pirates definitely have the power to completely defeat the 3 disasters. Chen Tian, you bastard. Kado looked at Chen Tian with a ferocious face, and the furious voice came out slowly from his mouth. You are the bastard. I didn't provoke you, but you sent people to attack my pirate group and hurt my family. That's not all. I, Orochimaru, was going to teach you a lesson, but I didn't expect you to have a little trick and let Whitebird attack me. Chen Tian didn't worry that Kado would suddenly attack at this time. He walked directly in front of Kado, raised his head and said, I have to say that you have become a lot smarter, and you can even use conspiracy and tricks. It's a pity that the price of your cleverness is a bit high. The moment the words fell, Chen Tian didn't hesitate at all, holding the sword in his right hand, and the long sword was quickly unsheathed. A cold light flashed, and the terrible sword energy that seemed to cut through the sky went straight to Kado. It took him a long time to get here, and he met Whitebird on the way. Both his physical strength and domineering power have been almost restored, so the power of this slash is naturally extraordinary. Seeing the sword energy slashed out by Chen Tian, Kado did not dare to be careless at all. He had fought with Chen Tian in person before. Although neither side used their full strength at that time, Kado could still feel that Chen Tian's strength would definitely not be weak. Now it has been confirmed that the sword energy slashed out by Chen Tian is definitely top level, and the power is terrifying. With a slight movement of his mind, Kado directly used a thunder bagua to smash Chen Tian's sword energy. But at this time, Minato's flying thunder god appeared behind him, and a super large jade Rasengan suddenly appeared and pressed against his back. Ahem. Kado, who was attacked from both sides, had no time to deal with Minato's attack. After eating the super large jade Rasengan completely, he couldn't help coughing up blood. Kado is really a tough guy. If he was replaced by someone like Whitebird, he would have to drag a layer of skin, even if he didn't die after eating Minato's complete super large jade Rasengan. But he just coughed up a mouthful of blood. This is nothing for the emperor level strongman. Even for most pirates, coughing up blood is a small problem. Pirates are a profession that lives on the edge of a knife, and they are chased by the navy all day long, so they are used to being injured. However, this is just the beginning. Before Kado could react, a large fireball mixed with gasoline suddenly appeared, carrying an extremely powerful force, and falling on Kado. The power of this attack is not weaker than Minato's super large jade Rasengan just now. After all, it is Jiraiya's toad oil flame bomb. The flame emitted by chakra is combined with toad oil, and the power it bursts out is much stronger than the normal fire escape. Damn it. Kado used the mace to support his body at this moment, and then covered his other hand with a pitch black armament haki, and punched the toad oil flame bomb with all his strength. Boom. The fist covered with armament haki and the fireball intersected, and an astonishing loud noise broke out, and a visible ki ripple began to spread in all directions. The overwhelming force and the terrifying heat were all madly impacting Kado's huge body at this moment. Just when Kado was about to move his feet and change his position to avoid Jiraiya's second toad oil firebomb, countless giant snakes flew out from Orochimaru's hands and bound him in place in less than a blink of an eye. Stay there honestly. You can't go anywhere without the captain's permission. A low voice came from Orochimaru's mouth. Although his strength was not enough to compete with Kado, it was still no problem to just restrict the opponent. Then, rich chakra began to condense in the distance, and a huge red chakra ball emerged. It was the tailed beast jade condensed by Kushina, and then this tailed beast jade was fiercely bombarded on Kado's body. Kado, who was originally resisting the toad oil firebomb, looked extremely ugly at this moment. He couldn't help but spit out another mouthful of blood. He now truly felt the threat of death. Hatake style swordsmanship, cloak slash. At this moment, Kakashi jumped up and attacked Kado continuously. His short sword was like a violent storm without a moment's pause, and fell on Kado's strong body one after another. However, his strength was still a little worse than Jiraiya and others. Although the attacks were continuous, they did not cause any actual damage to Kado. The next moment, a red tree suddenly appeared behind Kado and bound him in an instant. Although Yuhiko Noa's strength was the weakest among the people present, illusion was very rare, and Kado was also caught by it accidentally. Flower fruit, giant tree. A cold figure slowly walked out, and it was Nico Robin who showed up at this moment. All the members of the Wanji pirates burst out their own strength, frantically attacking Kado, who was suppressed by Chen Tian, Jiraiya and Orochimaru. Under such intensive attacks, no matter how monstrous Kado is, no matter how strong his vitality is, he will eventually run out of energy, and once he runs out of energy, he will be devoured by these powerful forces. Even if you are really immortal today, I will chop off your head. In a breath of time, Chen Tian suddenly appeared not far in front of Kado, his hands tightly grasping the long sword, and the majestic power began to gather frantically, and then a low voice burst out from his mouth. Secret. One sword cut, shatter the air. The sword fell, as if splitting the space in front, and the sea of sword energy suddenly swept across the world, leaving many obvious scars on Kado's body, which was known as immortal. Chapter 282 Mascot Captain. Chen Tian's slash is different from Kakashi's. Although Kakashi's is also a slash, his strength lies in speed and concealment, not in cutting off anything. However, Chen Tian's slash is sharp, and can even cut through space. This sword itself is a slash that shatters everything in front of it. If Chen Tian has enough power, he can even really cut the world apart. Get out of my way. At this moment, Kado suddenly let out a deafening roar, and his powerful physical strength suddenly burst out. He actually broke free from Orochimaru's restraints, and then, despite the suppression of Minato and Jiraiya, he directly transformed into a dragon form, and tried to escape from the air. But just as he rushed into the air, a delicate figure suddenly appeared above him. Tsunade, who exuded rich chakra, jumped into the air at this moment. Tsunade stared at Kado with a cold expression and whispered, "If I'll let you escape from the air, I will be very embarrassed in front of other people." Super strength fist. Then, Tsunade clenched her right fist and turned into a green figure. The fist that was enough to shake the mountains fell hard on Kado at this moment. Kado, who was eager to escape, did not react at all to resist Tsunade's attack at this time. He just rushed into the air, but was suddenly pressed to the ground by the petite fist, and changed back to human form. This guy's really thick-skinned and tough. If you don't use all your strength, you really can't kill him. Chen Tian held the sword with both hands with a serious face at this time, and then an extremely majestic voice came out of his mouth, echoing between the world. Secret. One knife slash. Cold spirit shattering the sky. This move was conceived by Chen Tian himself, and had never been used before. After he understood the secret of shattering the sky, he has been thinking about how to continue to strengthen it. After thinking about it, Chen Tian still felt that the move of shattering sky could not be further enhanced by relying solely on the armed color domineering. So, he set his sights on the cold spirit bone fire. Although the cold spirit bone fire is only a broken version, it is still extremely powerful in this world. Because he could not master such a powerful force, this idea has always been hidden in his mind, and Chen Tian has never dared to try it easily. But now that he can't kill Kado, he must take a risk and try it, otherwise it will be bad. If Kado runs away, the white flames are wrapped around the long sword and linger around. At this moment, Chen Tian's eyes are emitting a strange light. The whole body is shrouded in the white light, and the whole person stands on this island like a true god descending to the world. Looking at the changes in Chen Tian, Kado's eyes are full of shock, and he also has a rare emotion of fear in his heart. Kado has a strong vitality, so he is not afraid of death. Because among the people he knows, almost no one can really kill him. Usually, he would try to commit suicide when he was free, but it was just to show off behavior when he knew he couldn't die. But at this moment, he really felt that he was threatened with death. If this knife really fell on him, even with his huge vitality, he would probably step into the gate of the world of death. Where do you want to go? Jiraiya flashed and blocked behind Kado. At the same time, Orochimaru also blocked in another direction. At Tsunade, Minato and Kakashi also existed in other directions. In this case, Kado could not escape before Chenshin slashed the sword. That's right, he couldn't escape, and could only bear Chenshin's attack head-on, which was also a fatal blow. Although I don't know how you have an almost immortal life force, Kado, I have power that is superior to yours now, and it's time to put a perfect end to this battle. If you know what regret is, then go to hell and regret attacking the Wanji pirates. As soon as the voice fell, Chen Tian swung his sword and slashed out a white and bright light, which instantly spread all over the world. The whole island was covered with this white light. There was no huge roar, and only endless screams could be heard. I don't know how long it took. The white light slowly dissipated, and Kado's strong body fell to the ground at this moment. Strangely, he didn't have even one more wound on his body that could take his life, but his vitality had dissipated. One of the emperors who reigned over the new world on the sea was left on this nameless island forever at this moment, and the immortal Kado became a thing of the past forever. Chen Tian, who landed again, fell to the ground at this moment. His face was extremely pale, and blood was oozing from his eyes. This move was too powerful, so powerful that even now, he could hardly bear the terrifying force. Just this one strike not only drained his armament haki, cold spirit bone fire, and physical strength, but also injured him from the backlash of that force. After swinging the knife, he endured unimaginable severe pain, a pain that penetrated deep into his soul. But the scream in the white light just now was not from him, it was Kado's scream before he died. Although this knife would not destroy Kado's appearance, the terrifying power and cold spirit bone fire contained in the move would directly destroy Kado's body, burning all his vitality. Huff. Huff. After panting several times in succession, Chen Tian said in a slightly hoarse voice, Jiraiya, Orochimaru, Minato, you immediately take your own people to deal with the enemies who are still in our sphere of influence, and then meet up with others to destroy the beast's pirates in one go. Don't leave any hidden dangers. Do you understand? After the last time the big mob pirates were destroyed, people like Perospero escaped, which led to the biggest attack of the beasts this time. With the lessons learned from the last time, there will definitely be no trouble left this time. I will start the action immediately. Orochimaru nodded and replied, okay, but there is a problem. After the beast's pirates are eliminated, what about their territory? Jiraiya asked slowly, and this is indeed an important question. Kado has been killed now, and there is no difficulty in getting rid of the people of the beast's pirates. But what about the territory of the beast's pirates? Let Robin go with us, and move all the islands with rich resources and valuable to us to the side of the 10,000 worlds continent, and let Kakashi be in charge of guarding them. After these things are resolved, everyone will return to their previous positions, and continue to guard the 10,000 worlds continent as before. The territory of the beast's pirates is some distance away from the 10,000 worlds pirates. If someone were to go and occupy it directly, it would obviously be unrealistic. Because Chen Tian has provoked a lot of people now, and after this war, those people definitely don't have the courage to come to the 10,000 worlds pirates to cause trouble. However, if he asked someone to go to the territory of the beast's pirates to take over the islands, those people would not miss such an opportunity. Dispersing the combat power is not a wise choice, so it is better to move the islands that are beneficial to them directly to the vicinity of the 10,000 Worlds continent. Although it is a big project, it is still within the capabilities of the 10,000 Worlds pirates. After receiving Chen Tian's order, Jiraiya and Orochimaru led their men to immediately start to act. As for Chen Tian himself, he returned to the 10,000 Worlds continent, but he needed a good rest. During this period of time, he first fought with the navy, and then killed Kaido, the beast, and was exhausted both physically and mentally. Although not as serious as my guy, he didn't have the energy to continue fighting with others within a day or two. In this case, he will not participate in the future and just be a mascot captain here. Chapter 283 Tam's arrival. 1 month later, in the core area of the Wanji continent, Chen Tian lay quietly on the chair, but he did not fall asleep. Instead, he recalled the move that killed Kaido the beast before. Although the move had been used once, it was just luck. If Chen Tian really used it again, he might not be able to perform it. So taking advantage of his free time, Chen Tian continued to perfect it in his mind, striving to make it a trump card. Brother Chen Tian. Robin walked slowly to the side of Chen Tian and said softly, Jiraiya, Orochimaru and Minato have already killed all the beasts pirates. There will no longer be any beasts pirates on the sea. And the survivors of the Big Mom pirates were also all killed. Well, that's natural. Kaido and his top fighters have been killed near our 10,000 Worlds continent. The remaining crooked melons and crack dates simply can't withstand their attack. Chen Tian said with a smile. By the way, remember that today is the last day of the deadline agreed between me and the navy. Haven't they sent the devil fruits yet? If not, kill those two wretched guys, Kizaru and Chatten, and then send their heads to the Navy headquarters. Robin smiled and replied, just now, the Navy headquarters has asked Vice Admiral Churu to send 50 devil fruits. According to your previous instructions, Brother Chen Tian, those Navy officers have been released. But if Brother Chen Tian wants their heads, it's not too late now. I think they shouldn't have left the New World yet. Chen Tian no longer cares about those Navy soldiers, and from a certain perspective, he thinks that those Navy soldiers are pretty good. Not only did the attack fail this time, but they also provided him with 50 devil fruits. This is because they have the support of the world government. If it were another force, it would be difficult to produce so many devil fruits at once. After all, devil fruits are a way for them to improve their combat effectiveness. After collecting devil fruits, of course, they will give priority to improving their combat effectiveness, except for those fruits that are particularly precious or particularly useless. Basically, not many people will deliberately accumulate devil fruits because they will not earn interest if they are left alone. Moreover, after using devil fruits, it takes time to develop. If they are used in an emergency, it will be too late. After getting these 50 devil fruits, Chen Tian first took out the devil fruit atlas and compared them. Sure enough, things were exactly as Chen Tian thought. There was no powerful ability among these 50 devil fruits. They were all some animal type fruits that no one wanted, and superhuman type fruits with super rubbish abilities. However, Chen Tian was not dissatisfied with this. Anyway, the quality of devil fruits did not make much difference to him, as long as the quantity was sufficient. So, Chen Tian swallowed all these devil fruits without hesitation, and converted them into system energy. After doing all this, Chen Tian suddenly found that he seemed to have not checked the system panel for many years. Since his strength was strong enough, he had a precise grasp of his own strength, and did not need the system panel at all. However, since he thought of it, Chen Tian still opened the system panel with interest, wanting to see how his strength was evaluated in the system. Host, Chen Tian, Physique, 4 Emperors, Physical Skills, Navy 6 Styles, Perfect, Swordsmanship, Great Swordsman Peak, 3 Color Haki, Observation Haki, Advanced, Armament Haki, Advanced, Overlord Haki, Advanced, Abilities. Regeneration of broken limbs, gravity space, air dance, energy points. 1230,000 World Shuttle. 256/300. After taking a look at the system panel, Chen Tian was still very happy. Compared with the place he traveled to, his system panel was much more luxurious. The only thing that surprised him was that there were 1.23 million energy points. After the war with the Kado pirates and the Navy, he had accumulated so much energy without realizing it. However, according to Chen Tian's own estimation, the bulk of it was provided by Kado. After all, he was one of the 4 emperors, and it would be more valuable after he was killed. More than 1 million energy points were enough for him to conduct an advanced lottery, so Chen Tian did not hesitate at all. System lottery, give me an advanced lottery. The next moment, Chen Tian entered the lottery space again, watching a blue meteor fall from the sky and hit him in front of him. After so many times of lottery, Chen Tian was familiar with this process, and he was no longer as excited as he was when he saw it for the first time. He walked forward and picked up the fallen items and left the lottery space without looking back. After returning to the outside, Chen Tian lay on the recliner, picked up the items this time and observed them. The reward this time was completely different from the previous ones. After taking a closer look, Chen Tian found that it was a scroll. System, what is this? How do I use it? After finding that he couldn't figure it out, Chen Tian put away his arrogant attitude and asked the system. This is a special summoning scroll, which can summon an animal from the heavens and the worlds as the host's helper. Although the system was unhappy with Chen Tian's previous arrogant attitude, it still answered. When Chen Tian heard the first half of the system's words, he was delighted. Summoning a character from the heavens and the worlds, wouldn't he make a fortune? Like the Emperor of Heaven and the Emperor of Immortals in the fantasy world, the Saints and the Golden Immortals in the prehistoric world, just summoning one. Wouldn't the pirate world be like a glass bead being held in the hands of the other party? But after hearing the second half of the sentence, he was a little dejected. He couldn't summon a character, he could only summon an animal. What kind of powerful animal is that? If he really summoned it, he might be swallowed up by the sea king as a snack. As if sensing Chen Tian's thoughts, the system responded proactively. Host, don't be discouraged. This animal has a wide range. For example, the dragon, phoenix, and unicorn in the prehistoric world are all animals. After hearing the system's words, Chen Tian instantly became alert and was ready to tear open the scroll, but he didn't expect the system to stop for a while and then continue. Although even the dragon, phoenix and unicorn can be summoned, it's a pity that this scroll can only summon an animal on the Valoran continent, and it is an animal with limited abilities, which is at most the same strength as the host. After the system finished speaking, Chen Tian could vaguely feel that the system seemed to be laughing secretly. Obviously, those previous words were just to retaliate against his previous arrogant attitude. But it's okay, the highest combat power is equal to his own, which is also a top combat power. Chen Tian, who no longer daydreamed, tore open the scroll in his hand without saying a word. After the scroll was torn open, a white light as high as a person suddenly appeared in front of Chen Tian. Chen Tian tried hard to look, but found that he couldn't see it at all. After a full minute, the white light slowly dissipated, and a fat body with two very long whiskers and a huge mouth appeared in the original place. Although it looked strange, Chen Tian still recognized it at a glance. Damn, Tam. Isn't he a hero? Can he be considered an animal? Although he didn't know the background story, Chen Tian had played the game League of Legends, and they were heroes in the game. Tam is a catfish, of course it is an animal. Hearing Chen Tian's question, the system said as a matter of course. Hello, summoner. Are you the one who summoned me? At this time, Tam waved to Chen Tian and began to say hello. Although he didn't summon dragons, phoenixes, and unicorns, Chen Tian was still very excited when he saw Tam. After traveling for so long, across two whole worlds, now it's just like meeting an old friend in a foreign land. After all, he had operated Tam himself many times in the past, so he was naturally very familiar with it. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 284. The world is so big. 2 years passed quickly, and although the 10,000 Worlds pirates were very peaceful during these 2 years, there were many bloody storms on the sea. Although Chen Tian merged the islands that were useful to the beast's pirates with the 10,000 Worlds continent, he still left a large number of ordinary islands. Because of the 4 emperors of Kado, many pirates poured into the new world, all intending to compete for the vacant 4 emperors throne. But without absolutely strong strength, it is not so easy to become one of the emperors who reign over the new world. The process of this struggle lasted for more than a year before it stabilized. The territory that originally belonged to the beast's pirates was divided into 2 parts, and these 2 pirate groups both had the strength to become emperors. So in the recent period of time, the name of the 4 emperors of the new world has become the 5 emperors. But people thought of the record of the 10,000 Worlds pirates in killing the 2 emperors, and they all felt that the name of the 5 emperors was not appropriate, so slowly the title of the 5 emperors was abandoned and replaced by the 1 emperor and 4 emperors. The captain of the 10,000 Worlds pirates, the demon god Chen Tian, had previously revealed his strength to the navy and the world government. Because of the great war on the 10,000 Worlds continent, the bounty will be raised to 5.4 billion baileys, which is only a little bit less than that of the pirate king Roger. One of the 4 emperors, the world's strongest man, Edward Newgate, Whitebird, has a bounty of 5.046 billion baileys. Red-haired Shanks, one of the 4 emperors, was once a crew member on the pirate king's ship and possessed the top domineering color domineering, with a bounty of 4.0489 billion baileys. The remaining 2 people who ascended to the throne of the emperor also took half of Kado's territory, and both of them were acquaintances. When Chen Tian learned the news, he also sighed that the butterfly effect was too powerful. One of the 2 was one of the 3 great pirates, Shiki the Golden Lion, and now his bounty is 2.63 billion baileys. The user of the float fruit can make himself or an object fly in the air, thus earning the nickname of the Flying Pirates. He is also the only person who has been able to escape from Impel Down so far. In addition to being a user of the ability, this old lion is also one of the world's top swordsmen. Although his swordsmanship has been declining since he used his famous swords Sakura 10 and Edward on his legs as feet. But his strength is still quite strong, and this old lion is still studying a special thing that allows some animals to have extraordinary power. As for the last person to ascend the throne of the emperor, it was the most surprising to Chen Tian, because he had seen this guy before. Bounty of 2.1156 billion baileys, Fireman, Bosco de Ace. It was because of Chen Tian that Ace went to see Pluto Rayleigh as soon as he arrived at the Sabaody archipelago, and then gradually changed under Rayleigh's guidance, and also knew what his father Roger had experienced. At the same time, with the help of Rayleigh, his strength also increased wildly, and in addition to not challenging Whitebird, he also found some good crew members. So Ace actually took more than a year to ascend to the position of the 4 emperors. It must be said that the blood of the Pirate King is indeed powerful enough, and his talent is also extremely terrifying. Apart from other places, Ace's current attainments in Dark Domineering are more than 1 level stronger than when he joined the Whitebird Pirates and became the captain of the 2nd team. In addition, after becoming the new 4 emperors, Ace personally came to the 10,000 Worlds continent to meet Chen Tian. At that time, Chen Tian told him some ideas about the development of the flame fruit. These ideas are all the experience of his netizens in his previous life, but they are also reasonable. The temperature enhancement of flames is much more powerful than fancy things. No matter how fancy, beautiful, and handsome you are, it will be useless if you can't burn a person to death for a long time. But if you are ordinary and don't even need to touch, you can vaporize a person, which is extremely powerful. With the existence of the 1 emperor and the 4 emperors, the sea of the new world has once again settled down. Except for the first month or so, there were many guys who would challenge Golden Lion and Ace, but nothing like that happened afterwards. As for the supernovas of each year afterwards, not all supernovas are like Luffy's era. As soon as they arrive in the new world, they want to defeat the 4 emperors. Moreover, most supernovas do not have the strength or even the courage to do so. During these 2 years, one thing that made Chen Tian most uncomfortable was that the collection of devil fruits encountered difficulties. He collected too many devil fruits, more than 200 in total, which resulted in the slower collection speed. Although it is unknown how many devil fruits there are in this world, he had already collected 256 2 years ago, which is not a small number among all the devil fruits. Otherwise, devil fruits would not be called the secret treasure of the sea. Looking at all the ability users in the original work, there are not 256 in total. In these 2 years, a total of 22 devil fruits were collected, plus the ones collected before, which is 278. Now, as long as he collects 22 more fruits, the energy of the system will be full, and Chen Tian can choose to travel to the next world at any time. However, Chen Tian is no longer anxious about one thing now. After handing it over to Robin, he no longer cares about it. One day, when Robin was handling official business, someone sent a letter to him, which was left by Chen Tian. The world is so big, I want to see the starry sky, the sea, poetry in the distance, so I want to go on a trip at any time. Robin looked at the letter brought by his subordinates, and then said in a black face, so brother Chen Tian ran away secretly again. It's okay to leave everything to me, but this time he went out, to play without even taking me and Nami. That Lord Robin. You don't seem to be angry, because the captain sneaked away, but because he didn't take you with him. The corners of the subordinate's mouth twitched twice, and then he said softly, Chen Tian had sneaked away before, but every time he would take Nami, Robin, or Yuhiko and others with him. Unexpectedly, he sneaked away alone this time, without anyone. No wonder Robin was very angry. Don't worry about these things. With brother Chen Tian's strength, as long as he doesn't commit suicide, no one in the world can do anything to him. Okay, bring me the other reports. There are still many things to deal with today, Robin said calmly, but her tone was still full of resentment. She is now busy dealing with things for the 10,000 Worlds pirates every day, but Chen Tian is a hands-off boss, not managing anything. He eats and sleeps all day, or occasionally sneaks out to play. It was okay before, at least he would take me with him, which was considered a vacation for himself, but now he doesn't even take me with him, which is simply too much. After secretly deciding in her heart that she would definitely teach Chen Tian an unforgettable lesson after he comes back this time, Robin continued to bury her head in dealing with the things in front of her. The current 10,000 Worlds pirates are no longer the same as before. After receiving the assets left by the Beast's pirates, the scale of the 10,000 Worlds pirates has expanded again, and even the number of staff has doubled. So there are more things to deal with every day, and she and Minato are the only ones in the entire pirate group who have the ability to handle it. Originally, Tsunade and Jiraiya also have this ability, but these two are too willful. Just like Chen Tian, they disappear after saying a word. As for Orochimaru, it goes without saying that he is busy in the laboratory every day, and he can't even take a break, let alone expect him to help with chores. Chapter 285 Kidnapping the Celestial Dragons. After leaving the Wanji pirates, Chen Tian came to the first half of the Grand Line. With his current strength, the weather here can't do anything to him. So in order to make up for his regrets, Chen Tian experienced all the islands he had not visited at the beginning, and many interesting things happened along the way. However, Chen Tian didn't care about these things, but liked those islands rich in food more. At the same time, he also returned to the island, where the old boatman was, wanting to tell him about his Oro, but when he went there, he learned that the old boatman had passed away. Chen Tian poured a glass of wine in front of the old boatman's grave, and after sitting for a day, he turned around and left, heading towards the Sabaody archipelago. A figure who was seeking death was wandering around on the Sabaody archipelago. Just because he was wandering here, the navy guarding the Sabaody archipelago was very nervous. This person was Chen Tian. After leaving the island, where the old boatman was, he went directly to the Sabaody archipelago. He found Rayleigh in Zayaki's bar, and asked him to coat him, and then he took advantage of the time when the boat was coating to wander around in the Sabaody archipelago. He was wandering here for a purpose. He was looking for the celestial dragons, looking for those arrogant celestial dragons to provoke him, so that he could kidnap them, and ask for the devil fruit. He was not a person who liked to commit crimes, but if someone took the initiative to provoke him, it would be different. Since it was difficult to collect devil fruits, it would be better to take them from the celestial dragons. This was the most convenient way. Although Chen Tian's behavior had a sense of fishing enforcement. Have the celestial dragons been hiding these 2 days? How about I go to Marineford or Merijoa for a walk? Chen Tian had been wandering around the Sabaody archipelago for a long time, but he didn't even see the shadow of a celestial dragon. Is it because my intention was too obvious that those people didn't dare to come out? In fact, Chen Tian's intention was too obvious. It wasn't that he was looking for the celestial dragons here, but after his whereabouts were discovered, they knew that he was going to the Sabaody archipelago, so the celestial dragons returned directly to Merijoa, and were too lazy to come out again. It's true that they consider themselves the descendants of the creator, but in their eyes, Chen Tian is a demon who kills gods. 2 Xianlang people have died in his hands. How brave does he have to be, to appear in the Sabaody archipelago at this time? I say, Chen Tian kid, you are wandering around here like this, which is useless, except to alert the navy. At this time, Rayleigh, holding a bottle of wine, walked over slowly, and said to Chen Tian. The first time he saw Rayleigh, Chen Tian raised his eyebrows, and then said seriously, Old man Rayleigh, shouldn't you be coating my ship? Why did you come here with wine? Let me tell you, cutting corners and slacking off are not advisable. If you do this, don't blame me for not paying you for the coating. Puff. A mouthful of old wine sprayed out directly. Rayleigh never thought that Chen Tian would suddenly say such a thing. How can drinking wine in his spare time for coating be considered cutting corners and slacking off? He also didn't want to pay for the coating. This kid really thinks of himself as a coating craftsman. Fortunately, my 40-meter sword is not here, otherwise I would definitely let you run 39.9 meters first. I say, Chen Tian, can you be more serious? I'm talking to you about the current situation. If you continue to hang around in the Sabaody archipelago, the navy will probably mobilize heavy troops. You don't want the Bank of the World's pirates to go to war with the navy headquarters, right? Rayleigh finally sighed, and then said with a depressed look. He really couldn't see through Chen Tian. He seemed to care about nothing, and did things as he pleased. If we really want to fight a full-scale war with the Navy headquarters, then I don't mind, but the Navy probably doesn't have the courage to attack my Bank of the World's pirates. They only have one way, that is to lure me and the Bank of the World's pirates out to fight, but even so, I'm not afraid of them. Chen Tian put away his indifferent look and said seriously, it's not that he looks down on the Navy, but the current strength of the Bankai pirates is no longer comparable to that of 2 years ago. Even without my guy, the Bankai pirates have several admiral level combat power. First of all, there is Chen Tian himself. As the captain of the Bankai pirates, his strength is definitely not weaker than that of the admirals. This is still an understatement. To put it in a higher way, it is not a problem to say that he can fight 2 admirals alone. The second is the top combat power that has already shown its edge 2 years ago, Jiraiya and Minato. Either of them has the combat power of the admiral level. Then there are people like Orochimaru, Kakashi and Tsunade. Their combat power dare not be said to crush the admirals, but they can also delay for a long time. Finally, there is Tam, the mascot of the Bankai pirates. Although Tam has not really shown his strength in the past 2 years, his strength is definitely not to be underestimated. Compared with Jiraiya and Minato, his strength is not inferior at all, and even stronger. This is when Tam is suppressed by the system. Otherwise, with his ability, he can probably swallow up the Red Earth continent in one breath. Adding these people together, it is equivalent to the current Bankai pirates. In addition to my guy, there are 7 admiral level combat forces. Such a force is definitely the top existence on the sea. Even the Navy headquarters, they are not afraid of it at all. Don't underestimate the Marine headquarters, Chen Tian. Not to mention that the Marine headquarters itself has these 3 admirals, as well as 5 top combat forces such as Sengoku and Garp. According to Zayaki's intelligence, recently, after a brief pause, Rayleigh said in a deep voice, the Marine headquarters has been recruiting soldiers all over the world in the past 2 years, and even the world government has promised to add 2 more positions for admirals. As long as there are suitable strong men, they can be promoted to admirals as an exception. The world government has increased the power of the navy because of the existence of you, the one emperor and 4 emperors, in the sea now. The world's great recruitment has been advanced. Chen Tian was shocked and then said, according to this statement, when the combat power of the marine headquarters is assembled, it is estimated that there will be big moves. I just don't know which of the 1 emperor and 4 emperors Marshal Sengoku will target at that time. With his wisdom, he will not directly target our Bankei pirates, right? Normally, even if the navy gathered more combat power, it would not choose to attack the Bankei pirates, because as of now, the Bankei pirates are the strongest on the sea. After living for so many years, Chen Tian has never seen anyone who plays a game and fights the boss right at the beginning. Don't they have to kill some monsters to gain experience, upgrade and buy equipment? I don't know what that old guy Sengoku is thinking, but he will definitely attack one of you 4 emperors. It is unlikely to be the Bankei pirates, nor will it be Shanks and Whitebird. The most likely ones, I think, should be Ace or Golden Lion. Lei Li shook her head and chuckled twice. Ace and Golden Lion have just ascended to the throne of the 4 emperors. Their forces are relatively weak, but if they attack them, once the navy wins, the prestige they gain will not be small. Ace is the son of Pirate King Goldie Roger, and the latter is known as the 3 great pirates in Roger's era together with Whitebird Roger. But for some reason, Chen Tian always felt that things would not be so simple. Judging from the original plot, the navy should have taken action against the old man. Chapter 286, The Navy Headquarters Eats Senbei. Marine Headquarters, Marineford. This time, the Navy has summoned back most of the elite officers of the headquarters. Except for Akainu who is guarding the New World branch and several vice admirals of the headquarters, all the others are gathered in the square of Marineford. Marshal Sengoku also summoned many journalists to tell the world about today's events in order to enhance the reputation of the Navy. Because of the war 2 years ago, which led to the emergence of 1 emperor and 4 emperors, the reputation of the navy has declined seriously. This time, Marshal Sengoku intends to enhance the majesty of the navy, and such a big thing itself needs to be known to the whole world. Let it be known that their navy is the real overlord of the sea, the only overlord. After a long while, Marshal Sengoku finally walked onto the podium, holding a dendenmashi in his hand, and his eyes slowly swept over the naval elites below. I'm the Navy Marshal, Sengoku. This time I called everyone to Marineford mainly to announce 2 things. In the past 2 years, especially in the New World, the power of our navy has been constantly challenged, so with the permission of the world government, we have carried out a long-term world conscription. In this world conscription, all strong people with justice in their hearts have the opportunity to be promoted by exception. According to the initial decision, the total number of exceptional promotions is 1,000 Navy lieutenants, 500 lieutenants, 200 lieutenants, 50 brigadiers, 10 major generals of the headquarters, 5 lieutenant generals of the headquarters, and 2 admirals of the headquarters of the Navy. When these words came out, most people couldn't help but exclaimed. They knew that the headquarters of the Navy had carried out a world conscription, but they didn't expect that there would be a situation where admirals would be promoted by exception. You should know that in this long 800 years, there are only 3 admirals in the Navy headquarters, and they all symbolize the highest combat power. One reason is that 3 admirals are enough to deal with the pirates on the sea, and the other is that the world government considers it from a certain level, so it restricts the development of the navy and ensures the balance between the navy and the pirates. But now the navy is going to increase the seats of 2 admirals, which actually proves that the strength of the pirates on the sea has surpassed the navy. It is for this reason that the world government will allow the navy to conduct a worldwide conscription and promote so many officers and officers. This undoubtedly greatly increases the strength of the navy and is also a kind of decentralization of the world government to the navy. Of course, this is just the idea of these naval elites. For some smart people, they can see at a glance that the world government is not decentralization at all, but to continue to maintain the balance on the sea. The pirates have become more powerful, and the navy must be strengthened accordingly. Only in this way will those countries ravaged by pirates ask the navy for help, join the world government, and continuously provide them with heavenly gold. Zyaki's intelligence is really accurate, but I don't know if these two new admirals are the ones I thought of. In an office in Marineford, Chen Tian was eating donuts in his hand while looking at Marshal Sengoku in the square outside, as if he was watching a movie. It is estimated that no one would have thought that the Navy headquarters was in a meeting, and the great pirate who was the captain of the Wanji pirates would sneak into the Navy headquarters to watch the show. After getting this news from Rayleigh, Chen Tian sneaked to the Navy headquarters by himself. He wanted to see if the two new admirals were the ones he thought of, and he also wanted to know what the rice crackers of these two old men, Sengoku and Garp, tasted like. But now it tasted just like that, not very delicious, and I don't know why these two old men would fight for it. When Chen Tian ate Sengoku's rice crackers, Sengoku, who was standing on the high platform, also announced most of the names of officers who were promoted by exception. Of course, he didn't read out all of them. The names he read out were all admirals. Next, we will announce the new admirals of our Navy headquarters. From today on, the Navy headquarters will no longer have 3 admirals, but 5 admirals. I really don't know what Marshal Zenjiuo was thinking when he said this on the stage. Anyway, when Chen Tian was listening, he always felt like a certain uncle surnamed Liu was conferring titles on his own 5 tigers. When Marshal Zenjiuo finished speaking, 2 figures walked onto the stage. At this time, behind them, a Navy soldier held the admiral's coat in his hand and followed the 2 people onto the stage. When he saw these 2 figures, a light flashed in Chen Tian's eyes, and he whispered to himself, "It's these 2 guys. Admirals, new admirals, Fujitora, Green Bull." Because they showed enough strength in the world recruitment and had justice in their hearts, they were promoted to admirals of the Navy headquarters. Marshal Sengoku said, and put the 2 admirals' coats on Fujitora and Green Bull respectively, and then continued, "I hope you don't let down the justice behind you." Justice will naturally not be let down. Chen Tian didn't know Green Bull, and he didn't have time to see it at the beginning. But he knew very well who Fujitora was, and that guy might surprise everyone. It's really too troublesome. I remember where Sengoku's senbei was placed. "Hey, that kid, you know Sengoku?" Suddenly, a person pushed open the door of this office, and then walked in cursing, looking for Marshal Sengoku's senbei everywhere. However, the moment he turned his head, Chen Tian also turned his head. For a moment, Chen Tian and Garp looked at each other. "Chen Tian boy, why did you come to Sengoku's office?" After Garp was stunned for a moment, his eyes did not lock on Chen Tian, but moved to Chen Tian's hand. "Ah, you damn boy, this is my senbei, give it to me quickly." It is estimated that only Garp in the entire Navy can do such a thing. If it were another Navy, wouldn't the first thing he did when he saw him be sounding the alarm? Seeing Garp rushing towards him, Chen Tian took a few steps back without hesitation, and then said helplessly, "There is a compartment in the second drawer over there, and there are still a lot of senbei in it. You can take it yourself. Why do you have to steal mine?" Chen Tian still has a good impression of old man Garp, so he has no intention of taking action. And if they really fight at the Navy headquarters, no matter how Chen Tian thinks about it, he feels that the possibility of him being at a disadvantage is relatively high. Especially today, the Navy just added 2 more admirals. It is definitely not a good time to cause trouble here. Hearing what Chen Tian said, Garp nodded and actually gave up rushing towards Chen Tian, but turned around to search for Sengoku's senbei. Soon, he found the senbei and ate it in big mouthfuls, and then said, as if chatting with an old friend, "By the way, how did you know where Sengoku hid the senbei? Isn't this the first time you've come here? Could it be? Are you Sengoku's illegitimate child? You are Sengoku's illegitimate child. Your whole family is Sengoku's illegitimate child." Chen Tian was helpless. He had no idea how Garp's brain circuit was developed, but is there any normal brain circuit in the monkey family? From Garp to Dragon to Luffy, it seems that only Dragon has some brains among these 3 generations. In Chen Tian's opinion, although the other 2 are very powerful, they are completely stupid. Chapter 287 World Recruitment. By the way, Kit, what on earth do you want to do in the Marine headquarters? Garp seemed not to be worried at all that Chen Tian would cause trouble. He sat on a chair and ate Sengoku senbei while asking Chen Tian. It was as if he felt that Chen Tian's appearance in the Marine headquarters was not something surprising or strange. If I say I came here to steal Senbei, would you believe it? Chenshin glanced at Garp, who was doing the same thing at the moment, eating Senbei before talking. Even he himself didn't know how big Garp's heart was, to be able to sit here with him, and eat Senbei and chat. He dared to do this, because of the existence of the sky dance technique, which allowed him to move freely anywhere. Not to mention, being discovered by Garp. Even if he was discovered by all the Navy, he would fly away, if he wanted to. With the moon step of the Navy, no matter who came, it would be impossible to stop him. Facing so many Navy, he couldn't beat them, but if he wanted to leave, no one could stop them. Garp glanced at Chenshin, then at the Senbei in his hand, and then laughed. Ha 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 ha, the Senbei of the Warring States period is indeed delicious. I often can't help but come to get some, but your purpose should not be that simple. Chenshin boy, you should come to see the two new admirals. Although Garp looks rough and stupid, he is not really stupid. On the contrary, he is still a smart man. I do have this idea. From now on, the 3 admirals of the Navy will become the 5 admirals of the Navy. We on the sea will be uncomfortable. Chenshin stretched lazily, and his face was full of indifference when he said this. But Garp, you'd better not come to my Wanji pirates to cause trouble, otherwise you will pay a very painful price. Although the 5 admirals are very strong, don't forget Might Guy 2 years ago. Do you think the 5 admirals of the Navy will be his opponent? As soon as the voice fell, Chenshin jumped out of the window and suddenly flew into the sky. The next moment, his figure dissipated in the high clouds, as if he had never appeared here. Hearing his words, Garp stopped eating Senbei, and his eyes changed. Although 2 years have passed, he has never forgotten the battle with the Bankei pirates 2 years ago. Chenshin and others are already very strong, but they are not a big threat to the Navy. They are just a powerful 4 emperors. But Might Guy is different. The terrifying power that erupted made it impossible for people to raise the idea of resistance. He felt that he was stronger than rocks who dominated the sea back then. Wait a minute. A light flashed in Garp's eyes, and his face became serious. Chenshin has left. If Sengoku comes back later, won't he think that all the Senbei were stolen by me? No, we have to leave here quickly. After making such a decision, Garp immediately prepared to leave Sengoku's office, but before leaving, he took 2 more Senbei. But when he opened the door and prepared to leave, he saw Marshal Sengoku standing in front of him. Damn Garp. For a moment, Sengoku's roar resounded throughout the Navy headquarters. The Bank of the World's Pirates. Don't come to me again. I've said that, if you plan to leave the Bank of the World's Pirates to find Brother Chenshin, I will stop you without any mercy. Robin continued to handle her official duties. Nami and Kunoiuhi had come many times during this period, but she sent them away every time. On the one hand, because of the flower fruit, Nami and Kunoiuhi were not her opponents in terms of strength. On the other hand, in terms of IQ, they were also not as smart as Robin. It was basically impossible to leave the Bank of the World's Pirates under Robin's nose. What's more, the 2 of them had nothing to do every day, so they could indeed find Chenshin. But Robin herself had a lot of official duties every day, and had no time at all. How could she let them leave under such circumstances? This time we are not looking for you to leave, but about today's intelligence. The Navy headquarters has newly promoted 2 admirals. If nothing unexpected happens, the Navy will definitely make a big move. Under this situation, we must let Brother Chenshin come back as quickly as possible. Nami said with a serious face. Although the topic still did not avoid Chen Tian, this time it was reasonable. With the addition of 2 admirals, the Navy's strength has increased greatly, and they will definitely take action in the next period of time. This means that the Bank of the World's Pirates is likely to become the target of the Navy. If that happens, it is unreasonable for Chen Tian, as the captain, not to be in charge of the Bank of the World's Pirates. I have received intelligence about the Navy. Marshal Sengoku is not a fool. On the contrary, he is very smart. Even if a smart person takes action, he will never choose our Bank of the World's Pirates as the first target, because we are very strong. And they also suffered a loss at the hands of Might Guy once. Robin did not mind the trouble, but gently analyzed the 2 of them. When they were not talking about men, they were still good sisters. If nothing unexpected happens, they should choose to attack Whitebird or Fireman Ace. But Brother Chenshin should be back. No matter which of the 4 emperors the Navy wants to attack, we must respond. Why do you think the Navy's target is Whitebird or race? Aren't there any others possible? Nami tilted her head in confusion and asked, I can understand choosing Ace. He and Golden Lion are both the weaker of the 4 emperors. But although Whitebird is old, his strength is not weak, and his captains are all famous pirates in the New World. No matter how you think about it, it is not a wise choice to attack Whitebird directly, right? Robin put aside the official business in his hands for the time being, looked up at Nami and Yuhikuni and said, it's very simple. There are a total of 3 reasons why the Navy chose Whitebird as a target. The first one is what you just mentioned. Whitebird is old now. He does have very strong strength, but after his body has aged, his physical strength is no longer enough to support him in sustained high-intensity combat. The second point is that Whitebird has enough reputation on the sea. Although our Bankei pirates are now standing above the 4 emperors, in the eyes of countless people, Whitebird is still the one closest to the Pirate King and the most powerful man in the world. If the Navy can defeat him, the benefits will be greater than defeating our Bankei pirates. And the last point is that Whitebird is different from other pirates. He has weaknesses, and his weaknesses are quite obvious. After a slight pause, Robin continued in a deep voice, his weakness is his sons, which is the best target for the Navy. As long as this point can be grasped and used well, it is not difficult for the current Navy to destroy the Whitebird pirates. Robin's analysis is not wrong at all. If Chen Tian heard it, he would probably applaud for her. This is how it developed in the original work. Because his son was publicly executed by the Navy, Whitebird made a big fuss in Marineford and eventually died there. The Whitebird pirates also fell from grace, although the person who was captured at that time was Ace, the son of Pirate King Roger. But given Whitebird's personality, it doesn't matter to him who Ace's son is. As long as he is his son, he will definitely save him. With this obvious weakness, as long as the Navy makes reasonable use of it, the Whitebird pirates will definitely be destroyed in one fell swoop. After all, it is different from the original work. The Navy has 2 more admirals than in the original work. Chapter 288, Teacher's Defection. After leaving the Navy headquarters, Chen Tian did not stay any longer and went straight back to the Wanji continent. This sea has now begun to run wild, and their Wanji pirates must be prepared. As the captain, Chen Tian must be in charge again at this time. At the same time as Chen Tian returned, the New World Moby Dick. Dad, let me go and catch that bastard back. Marco's eyes were full of anger at this time. He never thought that Teach, who looked so honest, would do such a thing. But no matter who hurts his companions, it is a violation of the only iron rule on the Whitebird ship, and he must pay a sufficient price. Now that Thatch is still in the hands of the other party, no one knows when Teach will kill, and he must catch up as soon as possible. Dad, give the order quickly. Marco and I will go together, and we will definitely be able to catch Teach back. Diamond Jaws also said at this time. He now wants to catch Teach, who betrayed the Whitebird pirates, and cut him into pieces. Be quiet, Whitebird shouted loudly, and then said in a deep voice, do you all know where that guy Teach is now? If you don't know anything, how can you catch him? Or do you think that I'm not worried at all, because Satch's life or death is unknown? He is my son. His face was extremely ugly now, but he knew that it was not a wise decision to go out and hunt down Teach. That guy was able to stay on his ship for so many years, and he was definitely not someone to be trifled with. Although he was worried about Sachi, he was also worried about his sons. Dad, are we just going to wait like this now? Sachi is still alive, and we can't let him be killed by Teach. What Marco is most worried about now is Sachi's safety. More than a dozen of their family members have paid with their lives, and they must not let Sachi be killed again. Notify those people in the dark world and ask them to search for Teach's whereabouts. If they can find him, I will owe them a favor. Before we know the exact whereabouts of Teach, no one of you is allowed to act rashly. Do you understand? Whitebird was silent for a long time before he made this decision. He would not give up his son, but he could not let his other sons face danger. I will notify those guys in the dark world right now. Marco nodded without hesitation, and then turned to look for Den Mushi. He believed that the people in the dark world would do their best to help find Teach. because a favor from Whitebird was very precious and could not be measured by wealth. Although the new world is now ruled by one emperor and 4 emperors, the strongest man in the world is still their father, Whitebird. New world, Crazy Lion Island. At this time, Golden Lion also received the information passed on by his subordinates. Seeing the description and the information, he couldn't help laughing. Hahaha, I've said it before, Whitebird is too naive, looking for someone else to be his son on the sea, but he was actually betrayed by his own son. It's really stupid. But that guy named Teach is quite interesting. He was able to do such a thing under Whitebird's nose. Admiral, this matter will definitely cause waves on the sea. How should we deal with it? A pirate said respectfully to the Golden Lion at this moment. Haha, it's very simple, isn't it? Just wait until the moment when the sea waves come, and then take action against the old guy Whitebird. Things will definitely not end so easily. I have a hunch that the old guy Whitebird will be in big trouble this time. Hahaha. Golden Lion is very dissatisfied with his small territory. Although he still has an island in the sky, in the eyes of others, he and Ace are the bottom of the 1 emperor and 4 emperors, which makes him very unhappy. Now there is an opportunity to deal with Whitebird. How could he let it go? It just takes some time to wait, because the guy Whitebird can't be dealt with casually. As one of the 3 great pirates of the same era as Whitebird, he knew this very well. On an unknown island in the new world. Captain, the latest news, something big has happened. The pirate ran over quickly. Shanks and others were having a banquet at the moment. After all, it was the pirate group that held the most banquets. What's the matter? You are so flustered. Ben Beckman took the information from the pirate and looked at it carefully. After reading the information in his hand, his face became more solemn. After reading it, Ben Beckman thought, turned around and shouted loudly, Shanks, don't drink there. This time it's really a big deal. The guy you have always cared about killed more than a dozen people in the Whitebird Pirates and kidnapped the captain of the 4th Division. Now his whereabouts are unknown. Shanks, who was originally very happy drinking, suddenly changed his face when he heard this. He put down the wine in his hand, walked to Beckman's side, and said in a deep voice, are you talking about that guy Teach? He has been hiding under the banner of Whitebird for such a long time. Can he finally not suppress his ambition? There is no time to hold a banquet now. Thinking of that guy, my face still hurts. Yes, it's that guy, but I don't know what he wants to do. It's okay to kill more than a dozen of Whitebird's sons, but he even kidnapped the captain of the 4th Division. Beckman was a little confused about this. Logically speaking, bringing Thatch with him was just a burden, and it would make Whitebird pay more attention to this matter. As for using Thatch as a trump card to threaten Whitebird, it's not that there is no possibility, but it is also quite dangerous to do so. That guy definitely has a conspiracy. Things are not as simple as we thought. Shanks knew something about Teach, and then he felt that this matter was very troublesome. Get ready and set sail immediately. I have to meet Whitebird. The matter about Teach may affect the entire pattern of the sea. The little guy we are interested in has not grown up yet. If this sea enters a riot now, it would be too early. Chen Tian slipped out of the Bankai Pirates and played outside for more than half a year. Now he has been back for more than 5 months. In other words, Luffy has gone to sea now, but he is still a little pirate and has not attracted the attention of the Navy. After all, the Dragon Pirates did not have time to act arrogantly in the East China Sea. They were killed by Chen Tian as soon as they arrived in the East China Sea. Therefore, the opportunity for the Straw Hat Pirates to appear in front of the Navy headquarters for the first time was deprived by Chen Tian many years ago. If the sea enters a riot so soon, it is not suitable for the growth of newcomers in Shanks' opinion. Of course, the newcomer in his eyes is only Luffy, the so-called worst generation. In Shanks' eyes, everyone else is just a runner-up, a stepping stone. Only Luffy is the real core. It won't be long before that little guy enters the Grand Line, right? Shanks raised his head and looked in the direction of the East China Sea, as if he had seen the little guy wearing a straw hat, with a little smile on his lips. Ben Beckman knew what Shanks was talking about, and also turned his eyes to the east, with the light of expectation flickering in the deep night. They have already placed their hopes on the new era, and now they just need to calm the sea temporarily, and give the new era enough time to grow. Chapter 289 Chen Tian's Thoughts. The 10,000 Worlds Pirates, the core of the 10,000 Worlds continent. Unless something major happens, people like Jiraiya and Kakashi will not appear here at the same time. In all these years, they have only gathered together a few times. You should have received the news. The era of sea riots is coming, and our 10,000 Worlds Pirates will also be involved. Ace, the Golden Lion Shiki, and Edward Newgate, the Navy headquarters and the world government. No one can escape the baptism of this era. The first conflict to break out will be between Whitebird and one of the parties, and who that party is will depend on what choice Blackbird will make. Chen Tian said slowly to the others on the main seat. He probably feels that Blackbird will still choose the Navy headquarters as in the original plot, but now the world has changed a lot, and Chen Tian himself can't say what will happen. Blackbird can cooperate with any force and gain benefits from it, provided that he can convince that force. Judging from the current situation, it is impossible for Ace and red-haired Shanks to cooperate with him. The former is not strong enough to challenge Whitebird, and he has no need to provoke the White Monkey. The latter, Redhead, did not tear Blackbird's hand on the spot, which is good enough, and he still wants to cooperate. Daydreaming. As for Golden Lion, he is also a cunning guy. What he wants should be to gain benefits from it, rather than to be the first bird to be shot. In summary, the forces available for Blackbird to choose are only the Navy headquarters and the Chenchenwanji pirates. Needless to say, the Navy headquarters is a matter of course for the Navy to deal with pirates. Moreover, the Navy headquarters now has 5 admirals, as well as Marshal Sengoku and Iron Fist Garb, which means that there are 7 top-level combat forces comparable to the 4 emperors, which can completely deal with the Whitebird pirates. And they also have additional support. After all, the Navy headquarters and the world government are on the same side. The Wanji pirates also have the strength to deal with the Whitebird pirates. Moreover, there is a big contradiction between the Bankei pirates and Whitebird. After all, Orochimaru killed Whitebird's son before, and Whitebird also led the pirates to attack the Bankei pirates. If this contradiction continues to deepen, it is very likely that Blackbird will choose the Bankei pirates as a partner. Of course, the most suitable choice for Blackbird is still the Navy headquarters and the world government, because his eyes are still on the pirates, imprisoned in Impel Down. In order to make a name for himself in the era of imminent riots, in addition to having strong enough strength, you also need strong subordinates. This matter has nothing to do with us. Or are you also planning to attack Whitebird, Captain? If that's the case, it would be great. The previous battle, I still feel angry when I think about it now. Jiraiya's face showed a fierce look when he mentioned the battle at that time. Although the two sides ended in a draw, when Whitebird left, the look of being the best in the world made him feel very uncomfortable. The strongest man in the world? We have so many people in the Bankei pirates, so many strong men, but no one dares to claim to be the strongest in the world. Just relying on you, an old man in your 70s or 80s? It will not do us any good to attack the Whitebird pirates directly now. Several other forces are also watching. If we go against the Whitebird pirates directly, then the other forces will reap the benefits. Our current strength is above the Whitebird pirates. It is no problem to deal with them alone. But if we take action, neither the other 4 emperors nor the Navy will sit idly by and wait for death. Minato, as always, analyzed the current situation in great detail. So we need to wait for a while. We summoned you here to make arrangements for the upcoming era riot. If nothing unexpected happens, the Whitebird pirates will definitely confront one of the forces. Apart from our Wanji pirates, the most likely scenario is that the Whitebird pirates will face the Navy headquarters directly. I will take you out at that time. After moving a little, Chen Tian continued, Brother Minato, when the time comes, you can let those middle-level forces guard various parts of the continent separately. You have to deal with all the things during the time we are away in advance. I know, but Chen Tian, even if Whitebird really confronts the Navy headquarters, then which side should our Wanji pirates stand on? Should we help Whitebird or the Navy? Minato frowned and asked. The middle-level forces of the Wanji pirates are very powerful now. After they leave, these people are enough to guard the Wanji continent. And by then, the situation at the Navy headquarters will be very complicated. It's better for them to go with the top level combat forces, and it's better not to take the rest. In addition, this issue is also very critical. The strength of their Wanji pirates is very strong. No matter which side they help, it will play a decisive role. Even in his opinion, the position of the Wanji pirates battle can determine the future direction of this era. At this time, everyone else also looked at Chen Tian like Minato. After all, this point is indeed very important. If I'm not mistaken, brother Chen Tian should choose not to help either side, right? Suddenly, Robin, who was sitting on the side, spoke. Why do you think so? Chen Tian heard this, and looked at Robin with interest. First, whether it is the Whitebird pirates or the Navy, they are not on the same path with us. Whitebird attacked our Wanji pirates a few years ago and helped them. I think brother Chen Tian is not such an open-minded person. Not to mention the Navy headquarters, they have been on the opposite side of us from the beginning. Robin's face was natural, and he said slowly, so I think brother Chen Tian should choose to attack both sides at the same time, but this requires an extremely suitable opportunity, that is, an opportunity to promote this three-way war. It must be said that Robin is indeed very smart. She doesn't know what will happen in the future of this world, but she can see Chen Tian's thoughts. Ha 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 ha. Chen Tian laughed twice, and then said, Robin is right. This time we have to go to war with the Navy and the Whitebird pirates at the same time, so everyone should be prepared during this period. Especially the devil fruits. We have many excellent devil fruits. If anyone wants, they can eat them at any time. Then let everyone know how powerful our Wanji pirates are. Chen Tian did not give all the devil fruits he collected to the system, and kept the powerful ones. But looking at the expressions of these people, it is obvious that no one wants to try the taste of the devil fruit. The Wanji pirates have not shown their fangs to the outside world for 2 years. After showing their full strength this time, the whole world will be amazed at the power of the Wanji pirates and retreat. At the same time, weakening the Whitebird pirates and the Navy headquarters is a very important part of Chen Tian's plan. For him now, there is no higher requirement and desire, and the ultimate goal is to overthrow the world government. He has communicated with the system before, and when he has enough devil fruits, he can go to the next world at any time. At that time, not only can he go, but he can even build a stable channel between the two worlds, so that people from the two worlds can exchange what they have. In this case, he cannot leave any uncertain existence, so it is very necessary to overthrow the world government and unify the pirate world. When he has enough devil fruits, he will go there alone to explore, and only after he has established a firm foothold will he build a stable channel, so that everyone can go. Chapter 290. The unknown is the most terrifying. Marine Headquarters, Marineford. Today is not a special day, but what is special is that there is a pirate sitting in the reception room of the Marine Headquarters, and sitting opposite is the Chief of Staff of the Marine Headquarters, Vice Admiral Giroux. Tell me, what methods do you have to make Whitebird come to the Marine Headquarters for a decisive battle? If the answer does not satisfy us, then you will be arrested as pirates. Don't play any tricks. This is the Marine Headquarters. Even if you are the Emperor of the New World, you can't come and go at will. Vice Admiral Giroux looked at the strange man in front of him, and said in a deep voice, I don't know if anyone else, except Garp, has discovered that during the inauguration ceremony of the new admiral, Chen Tian ran to the office of Marshal Sengoku, and stole a lot of senbei. Facts have proved that the Emperor of the New World can really come and go freely in the Marine Headquarters. Of course, this is only limited to Chen Tian. After all, he has too many special abilities. As long as he wants to fly around at any time, no one can do anything to him. The man who was talking to Vice Admiral Giroux wore a bowler hat and held a cane in his hand, giving people a Charlie Chaplin vibe, although the world didn't know who Charlie Chaplin was. This guy's name was Lafayette, the navigator of the Blackbird pirates. No need to threaten at the beginning. I came here because I have enough things to satisfy the Navy. Our captain is Blackbird Marshal D. Teach. Maybe Vice Admiral Giroux hasn't heard of this name, but he was once a member of the Whitebird pirates. Wouldn't it be more direct to say it this way? Lafayette said confidently. The reason we say this is that we are sure that the Whitebird pirates will come to the Navy headquarters. Mainly because we have the important son of the old man Whitebird. I wonder if Captain Thatch of the 4th Division is enough as a bargaining chip? Hearing this, Vice Admiral Chiru's heart moved, but her expression did not change at all. A master is one who keeps a calm face during negotiations. If all the thoughts in your heart are revealed on the surface, others will eat them up and squeeze them out. She knew what kind of person Whitebird was. If the Navy had his son with such a trump card, then they would be able to make Whitebird step into the Navy's encirclement. No wonder this weird guy had the courage to come to the Navy headquarters to negotiate a deal. It must be said that the conditions proposed by the other party were enough to make the Navy headquarters tempted. There is no free lunch in the world. Tell us your conditions. If they are within our acceptable range, we can consider them. Vice Admiral Chiru did not say anything definite. After all, they were dealing with pirates, so everything needed to be done with caution. Lafayette had known about this situation for a long time, so he was not surprised at all. He said calmly, I think Vice Admiral Chiru knows what the consequences will be if he betrays Whitebird on this sea. My captain does not intend to face that monster, so we need to seek some shelter. As we all know, the most powerful party on the sea is the Navy, so we plan to seek the Navy's shelter. I can promise to stop the Whitebird pirates from attacking you, but in fact, as long as we get rid of Whitebird himself, your worries will not exist at all. The Navy can accept this condition. Vice Admiral Chiru gave the answer without thinking at all. Compared with the unknown Blackbird pirates, dealing with Whitebird is the most important thing. No, this is not enough. Who knows if the Navy will turn around and deal with us after getting rid of Whitebird. Although this possibility is not great, after all, there is still the perverted 10,000 worlds pirates on the sea, and the other 3 emperors. But we are pirates after all, so we still have to be careful where we should be careful. Lafayette shook his right index finger. What his captain wanted was not just such a simple promise. Hearing this, Vice Admiral Chiru also frowned slightly and said in a deep voice, then what do you want? It's very simple. Not long ago, something happened in Alabasta. A Shichibuke named Crocodile was defeated. It is said that it was a newcomer who defeated him. For some reasons, the world government cancelled his position as Shichibuke, and what we want is this position of Shichibuke. Only in this way can we not be afraid of Whitebird. Lafayette directly stated his purpose. What they want is to become Shichibuke. Blackbird finally set his sights on Impel Down, so he wanted to become one of the Shichibuke under the king, and then implement his ideas. After a long silence, Vice Admiral Chiru said, I need to discuss this matter with Sengoku. You just wait in this room. If you leave casually and get killed, we will not be responsible. After leaving this sentence, Vice Admiral Chiru got up and left. To be honest, she was inclined to agree to the conditions of the Blackbird pirates. A position of Shichibuke is nothing to them. If they can get rid of a 4 emperor like Whitebird, they will make a lot of money. A few days later, in the New World, the Whitebird pirates. Dad, something big has happened. Marco said to Whitebird with a heavy face, holding a newspaper he had just received. The Navy headquarters has made that guy teach one of the Shichibuke and announced it to the world. Just say it directly, don't beat around the bush, Marco. Whitebird felt something was wrong. He looked at his son and urged him. The Navy headquarters announced to the world that it will publicly execute Thatch and the Navy headquarters Marineford in 15 days, and announced that it will use the same method to execute each of our Whitebird pirates one by one in the future. When he said this, Marco clenched his fists, and his eyes were burning with anger. It was not because of the Navy headquarters' ***, but because he did not expect Thatch to fall into the hands of the Navy. That old guy, Sengoku. Whitebird's voice turned cold at this time. Wanting to execute his son was touching his reverse scale. Notify everyone and gather them all. Since Sengoku did such a thing, the Whitebird pirates must respond. As he said that, Whitebird looked at Marco. Don't look so sad. Thatch will never get into trouble. Don't forget, I'm Whitebird. Although he said so, Whitebird himself didn't have much confidence in his heart. He just wanted to save Thatch desperately. He was old, but he didn't have Alzheimer's disease. With the strength of their Whitebird pirates, it was impossible for them to compete with the Navy headquarters, let alone the Navy headquarters after the world recruitment. In other words, even if the Navy headquarters failed, they would not be able to walk out of Marineford alive. Because the world government behind the Navy headquarters would not watch them leave. Compared to the power of the Navy headquarters, no one knows what kind of background the world government that truly dominated the fate of this world for 800 years has. The unknown is always the most terrifying. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 291 Shanks arrives. The Navy announced to the Whitebird Pirates that the Whitebird Pirates captain of the 4th Division, Thatch, would be publicly executed. This news spread all over the world in an instant, and also set off an uproar on the sea. Although in the past few years, the title of the 4 Emperors has made the status of the 10,000 world's pirates Chen Tian vaguely above the 4 Emperors, but Whitebird is still recognized by the world as the most powerful man in the world. Many people did not expect that the Navy headquarters would kill the most powerful Whitebird among the 4 emperors at the first time after just adding 2 new admirals and strengthening its own combat power. But this is not surprising to some smart people, because as Robin said, Whitebird is the one with the most obvious weakness among the 4 emperors, because he regards all his men as his sons and his closest relatives. Not to mention Captain Thatch of the 4th Division. Even if he changes to a more ordinary person, Whitebird will fall into the Navy's design. And although Whitebird is powerful, the comprehensive combat power of the Whitebird Pirates is the bottom among the 4 emperors. Let's not talk about the Bankei Pirates. Even the average combat power of the Red Hair Pirates is stronger than that of the Whitebird Pirates. The Red Hair Pirates follow the elite route, which is very similar to the Straw Hat Pirates. So every member is a core member, and everyone's combat power is not weak. On the contrary, the Whitebird Pirates occupied a large area and recruited many ordinary people. So although the power is very large, the top level combat power cannot be compared with the Red Hair Pirates and the Bankei Pirates. It was at this time that a guest came to the Bankei Pirates. Chen Tian didn't find his arrival strange, because this guy himself is such a person. In addition, the Bankei Pirates have been deploying troops during this period. Others may not know, but Red Hair Shanks, who is also one of the 4 emperors, has a channel to get this information. After Shanks arrived at the Bankei continent, he walked directly to Chen Tian's residence, and his domineering aura was exposed all the way. It's just that Jiraiya had already told Chen Tian about his coming here. If it weren't for Jiraiya, even if he was Red Hair, one of the 4 emperors, it would not be so easy to set foot in the core area of the Bankei continent. Therefore, the members of the Bankei Pirates had already withdrawn, and those who stayed here were the core members of the Bankei Pirates. Captain Red Hair, my captain's study is waiting for you. Please accept your domineering attitude. Since we want to have a good discussion, it is better to have some etiquette. Robin stood at the gate of the Chen Tian mansion, looking at Shanks who was walking up the mountain, and said calmly, she would not be affected by the domineering attitude of the Red Hair. As the head of the Bankei Pirates, her own strength also made him fearless of the Red Hair. Although it was impossible to beat the opponent, she wanted to escape, and even the red-haired Shanks, one of the 4 emperors, could not leave her behind. Robin, who had followed Chen Tian for 20 years, was not comparable to the Robin who had fled for 20 years in the original book. The systematic training method and the mountains of resources were all thrown at her, making her strong to a certain extent. Oh, it turned out to be Robin. It's been a long time since we met. I don't know how lucky Chen Tian is to find such outstanding partners like you. Shanks looked at Robin, so he spoke even if he spoke. When he first met Chen Tian many years ago, Robin was by Chen Tian's side, and he still had an impression of him. The red-hair captain is not bad either, and even I admire Ben Beckman's intelligence, so in my opinion, instead of you coming to discuss with the captain in person, it is better to let Ben Beckman come to discuss with me, and maybe there will be a better result. Robin had heard of the name of Ben Beckman of the Red Hair Pirates, and had met him in person many years ago. If that's the case, there may indeed be a better result, but I need to come in person to confirm what Chen Tian's idea is. Leaving this sentence, Shanks walked directly into the mansion. Walking into the study, especially seeing the man sitting on the main seat and looking at his long hair, that sunny face made people want to take a second look. Red-haired Shanks, why do you, a domineering man like you, come to see me? To be honest, if it weren't for Jiraiya, I wouldn't bother to see you. After all, because of the previous incident, the relationship between our two families is not friendly. Chen Tian flicked his finger, and a teacup filled with wine fell in front of Shanks, and not a drop of the wine was spilled. This is the wine of the 10,000 Worlds Pirates. Have a drink, but if you say it doesn't taste good, don't even think about leaving today. Red hair. The wine of the demon god Chen Tian is a very rare thing. How could it not taste good? After drinking the wine and the cup in one gulp, Shanks looked at Chen Tian with a serious face and said in a deep voice, Chen Tian, I came here for only one thing. Your 10,000 Worlds Pirates has been deploying troops during this period. Do you want to participate in the battle between the Navy and Whitebird? Yes, this is what he really cares about. Originally, once the war between the Navy and the Whitebird pirates began, there would be a storm on the sea. If the Bankai pirates got involved at this time, it would be a big deal. So what? Chen Tian raised his mouth and said coldly, you should not be worried about our Bankai pirates, but the old antique golden lion. He is ready to attack Whitebird. Chen Tian was not talking nonsense. In addition to his own Bankai pirates, Golden Lion also mobilized troops during this period. It is not difficult to guess that Golden Lion made such a big move just to deal with Whitebird. I will naturally deal with the things on that side. The real trouble is on your side. As the captain, you know better than me how powerful the Bank of the World's Pirates is. Once the Bank of the World's Pirates participate in this war, this sea. Chen Tian interrupted Shanks before he finished speaking and shouted, what does the sea have to do with me? Red hair, if you want to be a saint, then you should take care of your own business and don't interfere with mine. Whether I want to attack Whitebird or the Navy, it's all the decision of the Bank of the World's Pirates. If you want to take care of it, then start a war. Let me see how magnanimous Red hair, one of the 4 emperors, is. In an instant, the violent and extremely domineering filled the entire study. At the same time, the domineering in Red hair's body also swept out, colliding with Chen Tian's momentum. The whole study was shaking with this power, and many of the items placed inside were overturned and broken. After a long time, both sides restrained their breath at the same time. Then Chen Tian said coldly, go back, Red hair. The 2 armies are fighting, and the envoys are not yet ready. You come to me to discuss things. If I leave you here, I will be too narrow-minded. If you want to stop me, you can bring your men to the Wanji pirates to fight. I will not show any mercy at that time. More than 10 years ago, Chen Tian told Robin that they were not the same as Red Hair Shanks. The reason is the current situation. Red Hair always intervenes in various things in the name of balancing the sea. If it was just like this, it would be fine. After all, a truly kind person is still worthy of everyone's admiration, but Red Hair is just using this name to carry out his own conspiracy, leaving the straw hat of Pirate King Roger to Luffy, and working hard to balance the sea before Luffy grows up. All of this has Red Hair Shank's own plan behind it. This is what Chen Tian hates the most. Boring plans are good or bad. Anyway, Chen Tian can't accept this behavior. Chapter 292 Rayleigh's Surprise. Marine Headquarters, Marineford. Don't dawdle, speed up over there, get ready. At this moment, the Marine Headquarters is still busy making arrangements, precisely for the battle with Whitebird. This time, the Marine Headquarters has summoned a full 100,000 naval elites from all over the world, and 50 warships are surrounding the crescent-shaped dock. Countless heavy artillery is deployed on the coast around the entire island. From the port, you can see that the strongest at the forefront of the Navy is the 7 warlords of the sea. However, there are only 5 people who really stand here. Jinbei was arrested to help Thatch. As for Blackbird, who just replaced Crocodile as the 7 warlords of the sea, his whereabouts are still unknown. But even so, these 5 people also have quite powerful strength. Tyrant Bartholomew Kuma, a great pirate with an original bounty of 296 million baileys, the ability user of the superhuman meatball fruit, and also a carder of the revolutionary army in secret. Hawkeye Joracle Miaya, known as the world's greatest swordsman, is the target of all swordsmanship on the sea. He is also on good terms with red-haired Shanks, one of the 4 emperors, and has a good relationship with Kakashi, a core member of the Bankei Pirates. Pirate Queen Boa Hancock, whose peerless beauty is regarded as the world's most beautiful woman, had an original bounty of 80 million berries. She possesses the Conqueror's Haki, known as the Proof of the King, and is also a user of the Parahuman sweet fruit, which can petrify all those who are obsessed with her, and can also directly petrify opponents with her power. Gecko Moria, with an original bounty of 320 million berries, once fought a great battle with Kaido, one of the 4 emperors, in Wano country. He is a user of the Parahuman shadow fruit, which can control his own shadow, and can also attack the shadows of others. Sky Yaksha Dan Quixote Doflamingo, with an original bounty of 340 million berries, is the king of Dressrosa. In the Dark World, codenamed Jackie, he is the user of the superhuman string fruit, and has an unclear relationship with the Bankei Pirates. It is also because of this relationship that Doflamingo and Hawky Mihawk have been called the 2 most unprovoked people among the 7 warlords of the sea in the past few years. And under the execution platform, the strongest combat force of the Navy headquarters is responsible for guarding a full 5 admirals of the Navy. Sitting in the center is the Admiral of the Navy with absolute justice, Inisakaski. He is the most powerful one, and it is natural for him to sit in this position. On his left are Aokiji Kyuzen and the new Admiral Fujitora Aisho. On his right is Kizaru Borsalino and another new Admiral Green Bull. The Navy even abandoned the naval base in the New World and temporarily ignored the criminals in the Fourth Seas, gathering the power of all the navies in the world for the decisive battle with Whitebeard. To be precise, it is to keep Whitebeard in Marineford forever. Let the most powerful man in the world become a thing of the past forever. While the Navy headquarters was actively preparing for war, many people with special costumes appeared on the Sabaody archipelago. They came to this island one after another in recent times through different means. But all of them hid their identities, at least they did not wear the flag clothes of the Bankei Pirates that represented their identities. That's right, the main combat force of the Bankei Pirates came here, including Tsunade and other medical team members. Chenshin took Nami, Robin and Juhi Kyonoi directly into Zayaki's bar at this moment. Before the real battle began, he planned to come here, to rest for a while. The main combat force of the Bankei Pirates has all appeared on the island. It seems that Chenshin, are you going to take action against Whitebeard or the Navy? As soon as he walked into the tavern and sat down, Rayleigh also walked to Chenshin and said slowly, "Isn't that a matter of course? How could I miss such a wonderful battle? But you, old man Rayleigh, don't you plan to see Whitebeard off? The Navy headquarters has gathered the combat power of the world's Navy this time. Not to mention Whitebeard. Even I feel a little scared when I see it." Chen Tian was not talking nonsense about this. The combat power of the Navy with 5 admirals is definitely not weaker than that of the Bankei Pirates. If it were just 5 admirals, it would be easy to say. The key is that there are also 2 top powerhouses, Garp and Sengoku, as well as the Chief of Staff, Vice Admiral Churu, and 2 admiral candidates. This comprehensive combat power is even stronger than that of the Bankei Pirates. I, a retired old man, won't get involved in such troublesome things, but you should ask your people to restrain themselves a little. This island has not been peaceful recently. There are many arrogant little guys here. Rayleigh thought of the Straw Hat Kid that Shanks had seen not long ago and said, it's not the people of Chenshin who should restrain themselves, but those little guys called supernovas. If they provoke the Wanji pirates here, they should leave the scene without waiting to enter the New World. Zayaki smiled. What she said was the truth. Those supernovas were very powerful in the first half of the Grand Line, and may have a very huge reputation. But compared with a strong man like Chenshin who ruled the world, there is a world of difference. Hahaha, didn't I think that Chenshin kid would not bother with those little guys? Rayleigh laughed twice. He didn't want these young pirates to get into trouble now. Of course, if those little guys really offended the Bankei Pirates, he would not interfere. At most, he would help the Straw Hat Boy. That's enough. Rayleigh didn't know the relationship between Chenshin and Luffy, so he was still worried about Luffy. Of course, his worry was necessary. Although Chenshin had taught Luffy for 2 months, if Luffy really stood in front of him and had to go against him, Chenshin would not be soft-hearted. Compared with Luffy, people like Nami, Robin and Minato had a better relationship with him. After he left this world in the future, he didn't want unstable factors to threaten Nami, Robin and others. Don't worry, we don't have the idea of causing trouble here. Everyone is quietly waiting for the war. That will come soon. When the war is about to start, we will leave here and go directly to the Navy headquarters. Chen Tian waved his hand. If he had the chance, he would like to meet Luffy. If he stood on the absolute opposite side, he would attack Luffy without mercy. But if he was not on the opposite side, he still had a good impression of Luffy. Suddenly, Rayleigh didn't know what he thought of. His eyes suddenly became solemn. He stared at Chen Tian and asked in a deep voice, "By the way, I have a question to ask. This time your Wanji pirate's target is Whitebird or the Navy?" In his mind, Chen Tian is likely to deal with Whitebird. After all, there was a conflict between the two sides before. And compared with the Navy headquarters, Whitebird is obviously the weaker party. But at this time, Chen Tian showed a strange smile, and before he could answer, Nami beside him smiled and said, "Who stipulates that our Wanji pirates must choose one of them as our target?" As soon as the words fell, Rayleigh and Zayaki's faces changed instantly. They didn't think the other party was joking. But if they were not joking, it meant that the Wanji pirates would deal with Whitebird in the Navy at the same time. This news was far beyond their expectations. No one expected that Chen Tian would be so crazy and attack the two top forces on the sea at the same time. If this is not handled properly, it will cause trouble. Chapter 293 begins. The Moby Dick is coming. Such a cry suddenly sounded among the many Marines who had already arranged their battle formations. The huge pirate ship suddenly rushed out from the bottom of the sea and appeared directly inside the Crescent Bay. 3 huge pirate ships now appeared directly in front of the Navy headquarters. That's Captain Marco of the 1st Division, Captain Diamond Jaws of the 3rd Division, and Captain Flower Vista of the 5th Division. All 14 captains are here. It is obvious that the figures standing on the Moby Dick are the most powerful forces of the Whitebird pirates, 14 captain level pirates. Among them, Phoenix Marco, Diamond Jaws, and Flower Vista are even more powerful. Now all these captains have gathered here, which means that the Whitebird pirates have really arrived. Then the guy who has not yet appeared is the top powerhouse who has become a legend on the sea and is known as the most powerful man in the world. Ting, ting, ting. Voices rang out from this moment, and the appearance of this figure made many Navy officers tighten their weapons and even felt their heartbeats accelerate at this moment. The tall man, holding the supreme sword Kan Yunki, was walking up to the bow step by step. Facing the Navy with thousands of troops, his expression did not fluctuate at all, and he still maintained a proud smile. Because there was no fear in his eyes. On the contrary, the whole sea should be afraid of his existence. After seeing his appearance, even Marshall's and GUO's face became serious. As a Navy, who had once confronted Whitebird on the sea and fought with him, he knew better than anyone how much terrifying power this old-looking guy had in his body. "We haven't seen each other for decades, Sengoku." Whitebird's eyes went straight past the 7 warlords of the sea and all the Navy. Even the admirals of the Navy could not enter his eyes. He looked directly at Sengoku on the high platform and said in a deep voice, "My dear son, is he okay?" Kilalala. Just such a simple sentence, but I don't know how many Navy officers had cold sweat on their foreheads. Marshal Sengoku calculated everything, but he didn't expect Whitebird to come from the bottom of the sea after coating and directly invaded such a close distance, causing many of his plans to fail directly. "Wait for me, Thatch." Just like saving Ace in the original plot, for Whitebird, Thatch is also his indispensable son. As an old father, how could he watch his son being executed by others? So even if he knew that this was a trap specially prepared for him by the Navy, he would jump in without hesitation. Compared with the confidence in his own strength, the main reason is that this is something he values and cannot abandon. Whitebird was ready at this time. He used his arms to exert force, veins popped out, and the white light brought by the tremor fruit wrapped around his fists, and he smashed them hard on both sides. There was nothing but air, but he smashed the air directly into spider web-like cracks. The sea suddenly became violent, and the whole world seemed to tilt at this moment. Using the powerful ability of his tremor fruit, Whitebird directly triggered a tsunami, and huge waves surged on both sides of Merin. A huge wave of hundreds of meters swept up. If it was allowed to fall like this, the entire Navy headquarters would be washed to pieces. We have attracted a group of incredible guys, Kizaru said with a funny look on his face. He was not really afraid of the whitebird pirates, but just said so. Why are you still talking about this now? Obviously, Akainu was a little dissatisfied with Kizaru's careless character. Although I'm not good at seeing, I can still feel the momentum of the whitebird pirates. However, this is a place where justice gathers. Even the pirate king who roams the sea is not qualified to trample on justice. Fujitora smiled and held his sword with both hands, saying seriously, hehehe. Here we have the strongest fighting force of the 7 warlords of the sea and the navy headquarters, 5 admirals and 100,000 naval elites. The other side is the whitebird pirates and more than 40 naval ships under its command. So how are you going to attack, whitebird? Gekko Moria also said excitedly at this time. He is different from the one in the original plot. Because Kaido was killed by Chen Tian, his heart knot was opened somehow. His strength is naturally much stronger than in the original plot. Of course, it is probably because of Kaido. He has no good feelings towards all the 4 emperors. It really makes my blood boil. After saying this softly, Doflamingo thought to himself, so when will you appear on this battlefield? Demon God Chen Tian? His intelligence is very good. As one of the representatives of the Dark World, he knows some of the movements of the 10,000 Worlds Pirates, including the arrival of the core members of the 10,000 Worlds Pirates and the demon god Chen Tian to the Sabaody Archipelago. Although he does not know the specific movements of the 10,000 Worlds Pirates now, he is almost certain that Chen Tian came for this war. At this time, except for this war, there is nothing worth the 10,000 Worlds Pirates to spend so much effort to reach the Sabaody Archipelago. Sengoku stared at Whitebird at this moment. His face was extremely solemn. Even if you have an absolute advantage in numbers, don't be conceited and think that you will definitely win. The opponent is Whitebird, a man who has the power to destroy the world. At this time, the waves raised by Whitebird began to fall towards Marineford, and the waves on both sides were enough to cover the sky and the sun. In an instant, Aokiji, who was sitting under the execution platform, rushed out in a flash, jumped into the air, and shot out terrifying ice with both hands. The ice quickly connected with the wave, and the terrifying cold air burst out instantly, and the huge wave was frozen at a speed visible to the naked eye. Ice Age. A trick that can completely freeze the sea. With Aokiji's strength, it is not difficult to freeze this wave. After solving the threat of the waves, Aokiji immediately set his sights on Whitebird, and the 2 spine spears flew out instantly, heading straight for Whitebird. However, he also knew very well that such an attack would have no effect on Whitebird. Although that guy was old, his strength was still extremely powerful. Sure enough, after just a glance, Whitebird used his Tremor Fruit ability to punch out, directly shattering the ice in the air, and even Aokiji had to elementalize to avoid these attacks. As Aokiji's body fell into the sea, his powerful ability was fully activated at this moment, freezing all the surrounding seawater, and a large piece of ice continent instantly formed in Crescent Bay. Although these ice continents prevented Whitebird's ships from moving forward, they also gave the pirates the most suitable foothold. For a while, the 2 sides directly engaged in a battle. However, at this time, no one noticed that there was a figure sitting on the roof in the distance, watching the battle with a smile on his face. If someone noticed it, they could recognize this figure at a glance. It was the captain of the 10,000 Worlds Pirates, the Devil Chen Tian. Chapter 294 Save time and effort. It's really a big scene, a big production. The Navy has gathered the fighting power of the whole world, and the Whitebird Pirates are the most powerful pirate group among the 4 emperors now. But there is no doubt that the Navy has the advantage in this war, and this advantage is very obvious. Chen Tian sat on the roof in the distance, watching the battle between the Navy and the Whitebird Pirates, and said to himself, the Navy headquarters with 3 admirals is enough to make Whitebird drink a pot, and even left Whitebird and Marineford in the end. If it weren't for Shanks' arrival, the Whitebird Pirates would have been annihilated. Not to mention that there are now 5 admirals, and Whitebird has no chance of winning anyway. The fighting power of the 2 sides is not equal at all. This is the current situation. The admirals have the strength that is not weaker than the 4 emperors. This is beyond doubt. The power gathered by the Navy headquarters now is enough to support them to crusade against any of the 4 emperors. Take the current Whitebird pirates as an example. If the two sides fight to the critical moment, Whitebird will fight against Akainu, Mako will fight against Kizaru, and Diamond Jaws will fight against Aokiji. This is already the limit, so what about the 2 more admirals? Fujitora and Green Bull are not easy to mess with. What's more, the Navy headquarters also has 2 real bosses, Marshal Sengoku and Iron Fist Garp. In the original plot, it was Ace who was executed, so Garp didn't do anything at all. As for Marshal Sengoku, he personally guarded the execution platform, and didn't really fight with the Whitebird pirates. Now it is really different. Thatch and Garp have nothing to do with each other, so he has no psychological burden to take action. In other words, even if the Whitebird pirates are dispatched in full force, they are only dealing with 3 admirals. Counting Garp and Sengoku, the Navy side is equivalent to having 5 admirals or 4 emperors. The strength of the two sides is already very obvious from here. When does brother Chen Tian plan to take action? Robin asked at this moment. She was next to Chen Tian at this time, but she was the only one. As for where the others are now, who knows? It won't be long before we make our move. Jiraiya and Minato have probably been waiting for a long time. Chen Tian smiled gently, then jumped down from the roof and walked towards the crescent moon with an elegant pace. At this moment, Hawkeye suddenly came out, his eagle-like eyes staring at Whitebird, his eyes full of sharpness. Does the self-willed Hawkeye want to join the battle? Even Akainu was a little surprised by Hawkeye's actions. After all, the most unique person among the 7 warlords of the sea was Hawkeye Mihawk. Even if everyone else made their move, he would be the only one to cheat and watch, and no one would think there was anything strange. But he was also the most powerful one among the 7 warlords of the sea. The title of the world's greatest swordsman was enough to make him resound throughout the sea. It is said that even the most powerful people would tremble just by looking at his eyes and would be so scared that they could not move. Are you planning to make your move so early? Doflamingo asked Hawkeye. I just want to test the man in front of me to see how big the gap is between us. Challenging the strong is also the instinct of swordsmen, not to mention that the guy in front of me is a man who, like Hawkeye, holds one of the 12 supreme swords. The world's #1 swordsman challenges the world's strongest man, and there is no need for any other reason. Buzz buzz buzz. The sound of the sword rang out, and the black knight was held in Hawkeye's hand. This is one of the only 12 supreme swords in the world. The blade is chaotic and the cold light is dodging. Only the world's strongest swordsman deserves a famous sword. The next moment, a sword was slashed out. The green sword energy instantly swept forward and went straight to Whitebird's 6-meter tall body. The ice continent was cut open at this moment. Just looking at this terrifying sword energy, Whitebird's expression did not change at all. He was still as calm as before, and he didn't even intend to resist. Suddenly, Diamond Jaws rushed out. His ability can be said to be the nightmare of all swordsmen. After all, Diamond is the hardest thing in the world. He has enough strength to withstand Hawkeye's slash. Boom. A loud noise broke out, and Diamond Jaws withstood Hawkeye's slash, and then the power of his whole body burst out together, directly pushing Hawkeye's sword energy into the blue sky. Seeing this scene, many people were shocked to the extreme. Although he relied on the power of the fruit, Diamond Jaws did block the slash of the world's #1 swordsman. What a trouble, Diamond Jaws. I really want to see how the man who is called the most powerful in the world responds to the slash of the world's #1. This will also allow me to learn well, right? At this time, a figure carrying a blade on his shoulder and wearing a robe exclusive to the pirate group suddenly appeared in the center of the battlefield. After seeing his appearance, Marshal Sengoku's face suddenly became extremely ugly, and the other navy also looked nervous. None of them expected that this person would suddenly appear in Marineford. This guy is the captain of the Bankei Pirates, the demon god Chen Tian. A cry of surprise broke the silence. Chen Tian's appearance surprised everyone, whether it was the navy or the Whitebird pirates. Because of his appearance, both forces did not dare to act rashly, because he was not inferior to Whitebird in terms of identity or status. Chen Tian, what are you doing here? Whitebird lowered his head, squinted his eyes, and looked at Chen Tian, who suddenly appeared, and asked in a deep voice, if I say I'm here to collect a debt from a few years ago. Would you be scared? Ha 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 ha. Chen Tian turned his head and looked at Whitebeard and laughed. But I'm not that shameless. I can't join forces with the Navy. And even if I really joined forces with the Navy, I won't choose a place like Marineford. Otherwise, after getting rid of you, the Navy will immediately turn around and deal with me. The reason I came here is naturally because there is no reason to miss such a big battle, right? The Navy and your Whitebeard pirates are all out in full force. Such a scene only happens once in decades. It would be a pity if you miss it. After a slight pause, Chen Tian turned his gaze to Sengoku and chuckled. Marshal Sengoku, since the battlefield is ready, why not add me in? What exactly do you want to do, Chen Tian? Sengoku's face was so gloomy that water was about to drip out of it, and his eyes stared at Chen Tian without blinking. You are not worthy of your stubborn reputation for asking such a question. Zanji Yuo is also handsome. Chen Tian smiled and then said, don't you want to get rid of my Wanji pirates? I came here to show you the strength of my Wanji pirates. This is also part of Chen Tian's inner thoughts. Whether it is pirates or the Navy, they always come to his Wanji pirates to make trouble in waves. If you don't retaliate, you will always be looked down upon by others. If it is just like this, it doesn't matter. The key is that these people overestimate their own abilities and annoy people again and again. So it is better to show your strength in front of them and hurt them all at once. Before you want to move the Wanji pirates in the future, you have to weigh your own weight. It just so happens that this time the Navy has spread the execution all over the world. After their Wanji pirates show their strength here, everyone in the world will see it. It saves time and effort, so why not do it? Chapter 295 Domineering Appearance. When Chen Tian finished speaking, petals appeared in the sky above the entire Marineford. There were so many petals that they covered the entire island. In the rain of petals, Chen Tian and others ignored all the Navy and pirates and slowly walked to the center of the battlefield. Hey, what's wrong with you? Damn, why do I feel so sleepy? One after another, the Navy soldiers and the young pirates under Whitebeard suddenly fell to the ground and fell into a deep sleep. Those who are not strong enough have no way to resist the sleepiness, just like those guys who are not generous enough have no way to resist the domineering color domineering. However, this sleepiness is weaker than the domineering color domineering. As long as you attack the sleeping person, he will wake up immediately, but being attacked on this battlefield is fatal. Yuhi Kuno's illusion is the pinnacle among civilian ninjas. In the original work, when Orochimaru implemented the plan to destroy Konoha, he also used a move of Nirvana to make everyone nearby fall asleep, and only the strong can resist. Now, Kuno Yuhi can also use this trick to make all these cannon fodders fall asleep. Is it finally going to start? I can't wait. I have to finish the fight and go home to rest. I still have to go to see the intimate paradise. I also want to go back as soon as possible to complete the unfinished experiments. But since we are here, let's try to catch as many test subjects as possible. Voices rang out, and Kakashi, Namikaze, Minato and others suddenly appeared behind Chen Tian. Long before he arrived, Minato left the flying thunder god mark on Chen Tian's body, and at the right time, he brought the core members of the Bankei pirates and rushed over in an instant. Seeing the appearance of these figures, many people were frightened and pale, and cold sweat kept appearing on their foreheads. Kuan di Jiraiya. Cold June. Orochimaru. How did they appear here? Exclamations rang out on the battlefield, because in their opinion, these people appeared behind Chen Tian out of thin air. Originally, this was not so scary, but who made these guys famous? They were the core members of the Bankei pirates with extremely strong combat effectiveness. In the new world, or in the whole world, their names are not ordinary big. Their appearance made many high-ranking Navy officers frown, because a few years ago, they had fought with some of these guys. Their strength was extremely strong, and they could directly fight with Marshal Sengoku and others in the war at that time. Especially seeing Might Guy in a green tights, a watermelon rind on his head, and a pair of thick eyebrows. Even Sengoku and Garp's eyes twitched. The battle at the beginning left them with a big psychological shadow, and they were a little scared when they thought about it now, but this guy actually appeared in front of them again. Because Chen Tian specifically explained before coming that this battle would be seen by everyone in the world, it was necessary to maintain the style of the 10,000 Worlds pirates, so these people did not drop the chain casually. Who is this immortal's opponent this time? If no one takes the initiative to stand up, this immortal will go to Marshal Sengoku. Jiraiya posed strangely and cast his eyes directly at Marshal Sengoku on the execution platform. Since they want to use the name of the 10,000 Worlds pirates, they must be arrogant and aggressive enough. After all, most of the people who come to provoke them are desperate criminals, and only by scaring them can they have enough deterrence. So when he was talking, Jiraiya hooked his finger at Sengoku, looking provocative. Then, other figures slowly walked up, and everyone showed enough domineering and ferocity. Yellow Flash Namikaze Minato is here. Who dares to fight? As soon as Minato appeared, he called out loudly, and the powerful chakra blew the surrounding ice, sweeping in all directions in the whistle. Captain, the 4 purple suns formation is set up, and the sea area has been completely blocked. No one can leave the sea in this war. Tsunade also came over at this time. She walked directly to Chen Tian's side and said slowly, not long ago, she had led several masters who were also summoned by Chen Tian to take action. They directly set up a super large 4 purple suns formation outside the marine headquarters Marineford to completely block this sea area, in order to ensure that nothing could go wrong and not let an enemy escape. Chen Tian also placed Tam in the sea. Although it was just a catfish, Tam was not an ordinary catfish. His fighting power could even be comparable to Chen Tian. With him guarding around, these people could hardly escape, especially since Tam was an aquatic animal and even had a subtle bonus in the water. And now Tsunade has also learned the haki of observation and the haki of armament. If she really burst out with all her strength, she would be able to match a general. The next moment, Hatake Kakashi, my guy, Orochimaru and others all walked behind Chen Tian with their own personnel. As core members, they naturally stood at the front. So many excellent experimental materials, it's really hard to wait. Now we can move freely, Captain. At this time, Orochimaru showed a slightly ferocious smile on his face and licked the corner of his mouth with his tongue, looking elegant and dangerous. Not only him, but also his researchers were almost the same. Apart from evil and desire, they had no other expressions. We should follow the captain's instructions. Although this war is to show the strength of the Bankei pirates, the opponents we have to face are not simple either. The Navy headquarters and the Whitebird pirates are not weaker than us. Compared with the madness of Orochimaru and his researchers, the others were much calmer. Although the Bankei pirates had the advantage, under the current situation, it was most likely that Whitebird and the Navy would join forces to deal with them, so they should be cautious. There was no other way. Who made their captain so willful and wanted to fight 2 forces together? They had no choice but to obey. I don't think there's any need to worry so much. You're just being too cautious. Jiraiya walked over, his eyes swept over the strong men present, and then he said, although Case Devil Fruit hasn't awakened, his mastery is much stronger than before. With him around, even if we really run into any trouble, just let him explode. All of you are free to move. Fight any opponent you like. Whether it's the Navy or the Whitebird pirates, they're all our enemies. As soon as Chen Tian said this, the core members of the Bankei pirates rushed out instantly. Unlike the large army of Whitebird in the Navy, the Bankei pirates don't have many people. Even after so many years of development, the core members are less than 100. But the combat effectiveness of the Bankei pirates is extremely strong, and the weakest newcomer has the strength of a general in the Navy headquarters. Those pirates who joined the Bankei pirates earlier and became core members now even have the strength comparable to the vice admirals of the Navy headquarters. It can be said that the Bankei pirates follow the elite route, and each of them has extraordinary combat power, especially the top few among them. Their strength is terrifying. They can completely rival the highest combat power of the admirals in the Navy headquarters. Chapter 296, Battle Between Swordsmen. Ha 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 ha, since the captain has spoken, let me clean it first. A loud and arrogant laugh came from Jiraiya's mouth. In the blink of an eye, a powerful flame sprayed from his mouth towards the surrounding land. The flame burning on the ice-covered sea surface was also a spectacle. After seeing Jiraiya burst out his ninjutsu, Whitebird's face became much more solemn. After all, in the battle a few years ago, it was Jiraiya who personally blocked him. Otherwise he could have broken through the core area of the Bankai pirates and directly wiped them out. He can be said to be very clear about Jiraiya's strength, which is not much weaker than himself a few years ago. We've even provoked the Bankai pirates. This is quite troublesome. Kizaru stood up at this time, looking at everything happening in front of him, and said with a strange expression, "Those guys in the Bankai pirates are as strong as monsters. If we want to minimize the losses, we can only get rid of Whitebeard first." As soon as the words fell, Kizaru turned into a ray of light and rushed into the sky. The dazzling light flickered in the sky, making people feel a little dazzling. Yoshakuni no Magatama. Without any hesitation, Kizaru chose to attack Whitebeard. In the current situation, one side must be dealt with first. At least in his opinion, Whitebeard is weaker than the Bankai pirates. Isn't it the best choice to attack the weak first? Seeing Kizaru's move, Mako naturally couldn't remain indifferent. He immediately turned into a phoenix and rushed into the sky. But at this time, members of the Bankai pirates also moved at the same time. I've already said that before. Minato moved the Rasengan in his hand, and the violent chakra set off a hurricane. Finally, the Rasengan blocked in front of him, and completely destroyed Kizaru's attack. Several core pirates under Minato quickly rushed towards Mako the Phoenix, and the long sword in his hand with a strong armed color domineering aura, smashed towards Mako the Phoenix's head. "Yellow monkey, who told you to go wild here without my permission?" Looking at Kizaru, the plain voice came from Minato's mouth. He knows the time-space ninjutsu Flying Thunder God Jutsu, which is extremely fast, and Kizaru's Flash Fruit is also a super fast type, just right for fighting with him. How terrible, the golden flash of the Bankai pirates. Kizaru still maintained his wretched appearance, but he was extremely vigilant in his heart. As a general who has fought with the Bankai pirates more than once, he naturally knows the powerful strength of the golden flash Minato Namikaze. The damned Bankai pirates, including these cannon fodders, can they stop me? Mako stared at the pirates under Minato and grinned, saying, "The ability user of the Phoenix Fruit, which is said to be rarer than the natural ability, is the highest combat power in the Whitebeard pirates, and the captain of the first team, Mako." One of them looked at Mako and said seriously, "We admit that you are strong, but don't underestimate us. We joined the Bankai pirates a long time ago. Although they were not summoned by Chen Tian, they were recruited as the first batch of members when Chen Tian began to recruit personnel. So their current strength is definitely not weak. At least they are not weaker than the Vice Admiral of the Navy headquarters, and may even be stronger. Of course, there is still some gap compared to the Admiral. What they need to do now is not to defeat Mako, but to stop him, not to mention that they still have several people. It's not appropriate to sit like this. That guy is called Orochimaru, right? Let me deal with him. I heard that he is very powerful, and I won't find him boring." At this time, the new Admiral Green Bull also stood up, and then rushed towards Orochimaru with a flash. After he rushed out, only Akainu and Tengu were left guarding under the execution platform. 3 of the 5 admirals of the Navy headquarters have now taken action, and on the side of the Whitebeard pirates, except for Whitebeard himself, all other captains have joined the battle. There was chaos on the battlefield, but the eyes of 2 people seemed to pass over countless people who were fighting and connected together. Hawkeye Mihawk and Hatake Kakashi. The former is the world's #1 swordsman, and the latter is the strongest swordsman of the Bankai pirates. His swordsmanship attainments are also quite terrifying. As for who is stronger and who is weaker, it will only be clear after they fight to the death. Anyway, the previous competitions between the 2 of them were inconclusive, and neither of them could suppress the other. "Minato-sensei, please ask the people around here to stay a little further away. I don't want to be disturbed by others in this battle." Kakashi held his short sword tightly in his hand, and a sharp light flashed in his eyes. Similarly, Hawkeye had the same feeling in his heart, which was the feeling between the 2 top swordsmen. From the moment they met here, they were destined to be determined. The previous one could be described as a competition, but this time, since they were on the battlefield, and on opposite sides, they had to be determined. Black Sword, Knight, Joracle, Mihawk. Very simple words. The first one was the name of the sword, and the second one was his own name. Although the two were already familiar with each other, when they really had to fight, the etiquette of the swordsman must be maintained. Short sword, white fang, Hatake Kakashi. The extremely sharp aura suddenly burst out from Kakashi and swept around. Everyone standing around him felt a tingling sensation, which was the sharpness of the dagger in his hand. Seeing the two people less than 10 meters away, Huaji and Bista's eyes also ignited a strong desire to fight. As a swordsman, he could also feel the strength of the two people, but he would not go up to interfere with the duel between the two people at this time, even if it was a war now. For this duel, any swordsman would give the highest respect. Ding. The white fang daggers in the hands of Hideyoshi and Kakashi met, making a sound of metal collision, and then a gust of wind was set off around them, and the surrounding glacier continent was cut open by the invisible sword energy, and shocking cracks appeared. The sword can communicate with spirits, and great swordsmen like Hawkeye and Kakashi can know the intention of the sword. After a brief fight, the two quickly separated, each pulling away more than 10 steps away, and their eyes met in midair, but there was no word. The collision just now was a test, to test whether the two sides had made any progress since the last exchange. Now that the test was over, both Hawkeye and Kakashi knew how much the other had improved, so neither of them attacked immediately. Because when facing a great swordsman of this level, the slightest mistake in attacking could expose one's flaws. Their swords were not perfect, because they were both good at using their sharp side to cover up the imperfections. The two of them were in a stalemate for a long time, and finally this situation was broken by Kakashi, who took the lead in taking action. Between the great swordsmen, in addition to the competition in swordsmanship, there is also the confidence in oneself. Kakashi's swordsmanship is very strong, and he also has unparalleled confidence in himself. His sword heart is incomparable. The sword in my hand is already in my heart. The moment Kakashi moved, the powerful chakra and armed color domineering were entangled on the white fang short knife in his hand, and an extremely sharp sword intent directly enveloped Mihawk in front of him. Chapter 297 Kakashi's Disciple. When Mihawk felt the sword force emanating from Kakashi, his eagle-like pupils shrank suddenly, and then his expression immediately became excited. What a powerful sword force. What a superb sword move. The last time he and Kakashi sparred, the other party did not show such a powerful swordsmanship. But now, this momentum alone can make him the world's #1 swordsman. Feel his blood boiling. After taking a deep breath, a terrifying momentum swept out of Mihawk's body, and this momentum blocked the momentum that Kakashi burst out. As the world's top swordsman, how could he not have his own sword force? If the sword he tried before was like a sword that had been sealed for many years, because there was no opponent, even the blade was a little rusty. But at this moment, he was an extremely sharp blade, an eagle swooping down from the sky. Slash. Without any hesitation, Mihawk slashed at Kakashi, and the powerful sword energy rushed out. This slash was even more powerful than the slash he used when challenging Whitebird. Because of the fight with Kakashi, the world's #1 swordsman really woke up. At this moment, a sword sound resounded all around. Dance of the Three Moons. As the sword sounded, a ray of sword light instantly broke Mihawk's slash, and at the same time, a shadow clone appeared directly 5 meters behind Mihawk. This sword was very fast. Like a flash of lightning, it slashed towards Mihawk. Mihawk knew very well that he must not retreat from this sword. Although he could save his life after retreating, he no longer trusted the sword in his hand. In that case, he would not be worthy of holding the black knife, and even unworthy of being a great swordsman. But at this moment, with Kakashi in front and the shadow clone behind him, what would he do if he didn't retreat? The reaction was just a split second. He took out the cross knife on his body, slashed at Kakashi with the black knife in one hand, and directly used the knife to emit amazing sword energy with the other hand, blocking the attack of the shadow clone. Boom. The collision between the sword energy burst out with a huge sound. Mihawk was directly blown away by the fierce force at this moment, and Kakashi also stepped back more than 10 steps in succession before he stabilized his body. At this moment, no one had the courage to approach the range where Kakashi and Hawkeye were fighting. The aftermath of the fight between the two of them was enough to make many people lose their lives, and those who were strong would not disturb the battle between the two top swordsmen at this moment, unless they wanted to be killed by Kakashi and Hawkeye first. Kakashi took a deep look at Mihawk, and the whole person rushed out. The terrifying sword energy, chakra, and armed color domineering surged wildly at this moment. Hatake-style swordsmanship. Kakashi's voice echoed between heaven and earth. He drew his sword in midair like a ghost. Just one slash was enough to split mountains and break seas. It was just such a slash that he poured all his strength into. Seeing this scene, Mihawk's excitement was already extremely strong. He felt the danger, the breath of death, and he hadn't felt this way for many years. As the world's #1 swordsman, he knew what it meant to be lonely at the top. He had been here for too long, and was too lonely. He was so lonely that he almost forgot that there would be newcomers in this world, and that maybe one day there would be an opponent worthy of his all. As early as when he was sparring with Kakashi before, he had vaguely felt this feeling, but with Kakashi's character, he would never burst out with all his strength to fight him head on. It was not until this moment, when the two sides were on opposite sides of the battlefield, that Hawky Mihawk saw Kakashi burst out with all his strength for the first time. In addition to Kakashi, he had found a good swordsman in the East China Sea before. That guy didn't want to be cut on the back, adhering to the persistence and tenacity of a swordsman. He believed that guy might come to him one day and have the strength to challenge him. But that only gave him a little expectation for the future, just like an eagle in the sky, looking forward to a chick growing up to challenge his majesty. How long will it take to wait? To be honest, if Kakashi didn't exist, Hawky felt that he could wait, but now that Kakashi was there, he found that he couldn't wait any longer. At this moment, he just needed to do his best and gamble his life to swing the sword. What the world's #1 swordsman is simply meaningless. What he needs is an opponent who can compete with him in the sword. A sharp light flashed in his eyes, and Hawky showed an excited smile on his face. He clenched his black knife with both hands, and gathered all his strength together. The next moment, everything fell. The duel between Hawky Mihawk and Kakashi not only affected their own state of mind, but also affected another person. Flower Sword Vista, the captain of the 5th Division of the Whitebird Pirates. As a famous swordsman on the sea, he didn't even have the idea of killing the enemy at this moment. His eyes were fixed on the two people fighting, wishing he could go up and fight with them. But he knew very well that he couldn't go up at this time, not because of any difference in strength, but because he couldn't bear to interrupt the duel between the two top swordsmen. Sure. At this moment, a sword light suddenly flashed behind Vista, instantly taking the lives of dozens of people. The sword energy that passed through the wind was definitely not something that an ordinary swordsman could display. Vista was sure that there must be another great swordsman on this battlefield, and it was a top great swordsman who was not much weaker than Kakashi and Hawky. He turned his head suddenly and saw a woman with a green face, tall figure, wearing light-colored clothes, and holding a western rapier. He couldn't believe his eyes at first sight. Such a woman could actually be a top great swordsman. Just when he began to doubt what he had seen, the sword in the woman's hand flashed quickly, and in just a short moment, she directly harvested the lives of several people. The sharpness of the western sword that flashed for a moment was something Vista had rarely seen in his life. I didn't expect that there would be so many great swordsmen in the Wanji Pirates. Your strength is almost comparable to that of Hatake Kakashi, right? Vista held two swords and walked towards the girl's position, speaking at the same time. He had an excited smile on his face at the moment. After all, he had been a spectator watching the battle between Kakashi and Hawky just now, which had made him a little suffocated. Now there was a great swordsman who could fight with him, which was simply the best. Teacher Kakashi's swordsmanship is very powerful, far surpassing mine. The girl turned her head and looked at Vista, who was walking towards her, and said slowly. Her words could not be regarded as a compliment to Kakashi. In fact, she was the disciple that Kakashi accepted when he first came to this world. All her swordsmanship was taught to her by Kakashi bit by bit, and even the heirloom Hatake style swordsmanship was not hidden. It's amazing. A great swordsman actually taught another great swordsman, and it's a great swordsman like you who is both young and powerful. But it has nothing to do with him at the moment. The only thing I care about is you. A great swordsman like you was unknown before today. The Bankei pirates are so well hidden. Vista couldn't help but sigh. There are not many great swordsmen on the sea, but there are several in the Bankei pirates. and if it weren't for this war, no one would know about the existence of this girl. Again, where did Chen Tian find these terrifying masters, and what means did he use to make these masters willingly serve him? If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 298. Why is it Whitebird? My existence is only to protect the Wanji pirates. It has nothing to do with the battle in your heart. If it weren't for the captain's order, I wouldn't even appear on this battlefield. So if you want to duel with someone, you can find someone else. The girl said calmly, it's best not to find the captain, because that will make you lose your life. As for me, I don't have the idea of fighting with you, because there is no point. As the captain of the 5th division of the Whitebird pirates, Vista's strength is naturally not weak, but in the eyes of the girl, it is indeed too weak. On weekdays, he practiced with the top swordsmen such as Kakashi and Chen Tian. Although Vista's strength is good, and it can even be said to be very powerful, there is still a big gap compared to Chen Tian and others. She herself has no fighting spirit, let alone facing a swordsman who is weaker than herself. It is even more impossible for her to have such a mind. Are you looking down on me? Haha. First of all, thank you for your reminder, but as a swordsman, facing a powerful swordsman, if I don't even draw my sword, I will regret it for the rest of my life. As the petals fluttered, Vista rushed out instantly, using his double blade style to the fullest, and immediately attacked the girl. Seeing the other party's attack, the girl just sighed and said, I've already said that this doesn't make any sense. Vista's strength is too weak, which is only one aspect. Another aspect is that the girl really doesn't want to participate in any struggle. Her existence is only for protection. When Kakashi picked her up, he was still a child less than 10 years old. The village was slaughtered by pirates, and she was the only one who escaped, because she went out to play. When Kakashi found her, she was already starving to the point of dying, and her mother's call rang in her ears. Ailey, Ailey, mom is waiting for you here. If she was found a little later, she might have become a cold corpse. After being brought back to the Bankei pirates, Eri began to learn swordsmanship from Kakashi, wanting to gain the power of protection. Everyone in the Bankei pirates loved her very much. From that moment on, the meaning of her existence was to protect her family and the entire Bankei pirates. As soon as the words fell, she turned into a residual image in an instant, attacking Vista from all directions. Her speed was so fast that her figure could not be seen clearly, and the sword energy was rampant. Under the attack of the heavy sword energy and residual images, Vista, who thought he was quite strong, did not even have the ability to resist for a while. He could only try his best to resist the opponent's attack, but even so, he still watched wounds appear on his body one after another. The pain and the feeling of blood loss could not suppress his excitement and enthusiasm. Even if he might die here, he would not regret the decision he had just made. This is the consciousness of a swordsman. He wants to challenge the great swordsman, a top great swordsman who can let him experience the higher realm of Kendo in person. Damn it. Vista, stop insisting, retreat immediately. Joss, who was fighting with Aokiji, shouted. He couldn't get away at the moment, otherwise he wouldn't care about the duel between swordsmen, and would definitely block Ella's attack at the first opportunity. Vista was already breathing heavily at this time, and he could clearly hear his heartbeat. Every beat was so obvious. Suddenly, a sword energy as elegant as a flower rushed out of his body, and then he quickly rotated his long sword with both hands, and countless sword energy flew out at this moment, actually blocking Ella's slash. Chen Tian, who was watching the duel not far away, could not help but flash a flash of surprise in his eyes, and laughed softly. Vista is a lucky guy. He was able to break through at such a critical moment. I almost thought he was the protagonist of this world. It's a pity that his opponent is Ailey. Even if he breaks through, he has no chance of winning. But his victory or defeat itself is not important. But you, Whitebird. Chen Tian turned his head and looked at the figure holding Kusagawa Karoi and standing on the bow of the Moby Dick and said, it has developed to this point. You are not going to take action, old man. The war has been going on until now, and the top forces of the three parties have not all taken action, but Whitebeard's side is a bit stretched. Except for himself, all other captains have already taken action. On the Navy side, there are 2 admirals, Marshal Sengoku and Iron Fist Garp, who have not taken action, that is, 4 top forces. As for Chen Tian's Wanji pirates, in addition to himself, there are 2 top forces, Jiraiya, one of the 3 ninjas, and Might Guy, who is invincible. In addition to them, there are Tsunade, Robin, Kushina, Yuhikune, Nami and others, none of whom have met an opponent who can truly match them. Morning Sky. At this moment, Whitebeard's eyes suddenly fell on Morning Sky, and he said loudly, "No matter why you participated in this war, there is one thing you have to let me do first. After this matter is over, I will fight you to your heart's content. How about it? You want to save your captain of the 4th Division, Thatch." Morning Sky raised his hand and said, "I didn't stop you from saving him, but it's such a long way. Can you still walk through it, old man? I can't guarantee what dangers you will encounter on the way. Of course, if you decide to fight me first, I'm happy to accompany you to the end." After the words fell, the tip of the long sword in his hand pointed at Whitebeard, and there was also a look of greed in his eyes. He didn't have much good feelings for Whitebeard. After all, he was the guy who had attacked the Bankei pirates before. Chen. Whitebeard's eyes condensed, and he subconsciously clenched his hands holding Kurigane Kiri. If it weren't for the fact that Thatch was still on the execution platform and his life was in danger at any time, he would have to fight Chen at this time. But for him, what really matters is his son, not the outcome of this battle. It's just that the people standing in front of him are indeed very troublesome. The Navy and the Wanji pirates are enemies, no matter which side. What's more, the guy named Jiraiya has been staring at him. It can be imagined that, as long as he makes any move, Jiraiya will immediately attack. And even with his own strength, it is impossible to defeat Jiraiya for a while. "You are old, Whitebeard." At this time, Chen suddenly said, "If you were still thinking about suppressing me a few years ago, you wouldn't consider so many useless things at this time. You should have killed your way out at the first time, and then went to save your precious son. But now you actually choose to talk to me first. It's too weak, Whitebeard." Hearing this, Whitebeard trembled all over, but he also felt a little relieved in his heart. He is indeed different from when he was young. This era no longer belongs to him. It is almost time for the era of Roger and Golden Lion to end. But the end must be in a proper way. No one said that the end of an old man is to let the children die. Kilalalalala. Who are you calling weak? Don't forget that I'm Whitebeard. These cats and dogs standing in front of me are useless, scum. With a loud shout, Whitebeard picked up Kusanokiri and jumped off the Moby Dick, then rushed towards the execution platform. "All the little bastards who want to take my life, come up. Today, I will let you know why I am Whitebeard." Chapter 299. Points. Hahaha, it's only fun to fight with such heroic spirit. This immortal has been waiting for you for a long time, Whitebeard. Jiraiya's eyes condensed, and violent chakra rushed out of his body. Then, without any hesitation, he attacked Whitebeard directly. He had not made a move just now, because in his eyes, Whitebeard just now was not worth his move at all. That kind of old and decayed aura should not belong to such a strong man. Even if this strong man is about to die, he should not decay. Chen looked at Jiraiya's performance and smiled. I still remember that when he was watching Naruto, Jiraiya was still heroic until the moment of his death. He could be said to be a well-deserved hero. And now Whitebeard is the same as Jiraiya back then. Even though they are in a hostile relationship, Chen admires him a little. Thump, thump, thump. The sound of the cane hitting the ground came out softly, and Fujitora, who was sitting under the execution platform, finally stood up with a smile. At the same time, he said softly, "Although I can't see, I can also feel the cruelty of this battlefield. Someone needs to stand up to reduce some sacrifices." As he said that, Tenghu smiled, and drew his sword, and waved it towards the sky, and then a strange force rushed directly into the air. Seeing the general's move, Chen directly cast his eyes on Might Guy beside him and said, "This guy is left to you. It shouldn't be a problem to deal with him without opening the 8th gate." Meteorite. If it were me in the past, there might be a problem, but after mastering the domineering power, it shouldn't be difficult. As he said that, Might Guy jumped up directly, and his violent fist directly hammered open the ice of Aokiji, and quickly ran forward, facing the huge meteorite that fell. With his hands, covered with armed domineering power, he fiercely smashed the meteorite. The huge meteorite was split into two by him, and the falling two halves of the meteorite became the background behind K. He clenched his fists and smiled at Fujitora, and a passionate and fighting voice burst out from his mouth. Come on, let's have a good fight. With an unmatched body and instant burst ability, he once single-handedly wiped out the top combat power of the Navy. Tengu Yixio didn't know how many times he had heard of his name, and he also knew how powerful this person was. However, since it is such a fair challenge, then I will naturally accept the challenge. Sir, my guy, please teach me. In an instant, Fujitora Yixio rushed directly into the sky, and the long sword in his hand also swung quickly at this moment. Although he was blind, he could easily find Might Guy's position, because he had an extremely powerful observation haki, gravity sword, tiger. The move was a killing move. Although Fujitora Yixio was a kind and generous person, he would never show mercy to the enemy. Very good and powerful slash. My blood is boiling. Might's face showed excitement, and then he punched out, shattering everything in front of him. Just as the war was getting more and more intense, a plump figure suddenly jumped up, and her terrifying jumping ability directly made her rush into the air, and then smashed straight towards the execution platform. That big Buddha, such a grand war, don't be a bystander, come and fight with me. Chen Tian didn't expect Tsunade to rush directly towards Marshal Sengoku. It seems that this passionate battlefield also brought a touch of passion to Tsunade's heart. Moreover, Orochimaru and Jiraiya, who are also three ninjas, have found powerful opponents. She can't show weakness either, and directly chooses the Navy Marshal Sengoku. But at this moment, a figure rushed out from the side in an instant, and directly performed Shaven Moon Step together, and appeared above Tsunade's head. The smile on his face, the fierce light flashing in his eyes, and the clenched fists contained terrifying power. How can it be so easy? Let you pirates attack the Admiral of the Navy. Get down from here. Bang. Garp punched Tsunade's shoulder hard, and the terrifying power burst out at this moment. He didn't hold back at all. After all, this time was not the top war in the original book, and the person being executed was not his grandson Ace. The person being executed now had nothing to do with him, so how could he hold back? It must be said that ordinary pirates couldn't bear Garp's heavy punch. After Tsunade took this punch, her body fell to the ground like a cannonball, smashing a huge deep pit, and Garp also fell from the air and stood not far from Tsunade. The old guy's fist is quite powerful. It seems that fighting with you is not bad. Tsunade twisted her neck and stood up as if nothing had happened. Her vitality and ability to resist blows were extremely strong, not weaker than that of Kado, who was killed. If she activates the creation regeneration, her recovery ability will be even stronger to a terrifying degree. With enough chakra, Tsunade is confident that she can fight the entire marine headquarters alone. So for her, although Garp's iron fist hurts, it will not have any effect. Although Tsunade does not have truly top level combat power on this battlefield, she can pin down anyone. Because he inherited part of the physique of Hashirama Senju, coupled with the secret technique he developed, he is completely an indestructible cockroach. At the same time, with a lot of meat, his strange power punch does not cause low damage, and no one dares to ignore it. I plan to get rid of you as quickly as possible, because your appearance has completely messed up this war. Garp clenched his fist and grinned. Indeed, because Chen Tian led the Bankei pirates to appear here, the entire navy began to mess up unconsciously. Originally, they were planning to wipe out the Whitebird pirates, but the current situation is extremely troublesome. Chen Tian led the Bankei pirates to appear here suddenly, catching the navy and Whitebird off guard. The most important thing is that Chen Tian's arrival was not to help any party, but to directly set off a big melee. Some of them were fighting with the Navy strategy, and some were fighting against the captain under Whitebird. In this way, the entire war will only develop in one direction, that is, becoming more and more chaotic, and there will be more and more casualties in the chaos, which is not what he does not want to see. The most important thing is that when he knocked down Tsunade just now, he saw Chen Tian attacking ordinary navy officers in his peripheral vision. Is there any dignity as the captain of the Wanji pirate group and a top powerhouse? He did not find the admiral or other strong people, but chose to kill ordinary officers. Is it interesting? After all, he couldn't know that Chen Tian was working hard to kill monsters and accumulate his points at this time. Anyway, someone will definitely take the initiative to find him in this war, so he doesn't worry about other things. It's better to accumulate more points while no one finds trouble for him. Although the points of ordinary officers are not many, mosquitoes are meat, no matter how small. Even if everyone provides hundreds or thousands, Chen Tian's points will have a sufficient increase. But his actions, in the eyes of others, showed that he was very shameless. How could a general level person always pick on those soldiers? Young people have no martial ethics. Chapter 300 Playing with a Canoe. They left one by one at will, forgetting why we, the generals, are here. One is to guard the execution platform behind us, and the other is to prevent those bastards from slaughtering people at will. Akainu stood up at this moment. His right arm had turned into scorching magma under the effect of the fruit, and his eyes were always fixed on Chen Tian. For him, Chen Tian left him with a shame that he would never forget in his life. During the time when he sailed on the sea as a navy with justice on his shoulders, his biggest defeats were all because of Chen Tian. Whether it was Ohara, the Seven Waters, or the Golden City, and the most humiliating battle of the 10,000 Worlds continent, their navy even became a prisoner of the 10,000 Worlds pirates. It was because of that battle that the navy's reputation was greatly reduced. That's why the navy wanted to directly destroy one of the four emperors, in order to enhance its prestige on the sea. Simply put, Akainu hated Chen Tian to the core. Go to hell, Chen Tian. Meteor volcano. With a roar, Akainu sprayed countless lava directly into the sky, and then these lava fell on the battlefield like meteorites. His attack did not distinguish between enemies at all, whether it was the Bankei pirates under Chen Tian, the pirates under Whitebird, or the soldiers of the Navy headquarters, they were all within his attack range. Feeling the attack launched by Akainu, Tenghu Yixio, who was fighting with my guy, changed his face instantly. He wanted to stop Akainu and prevent the meteor volcano from falling, but he couldn't get away at all. Might Guy's strength was very strong even without opening the 8 gates of ninjutsu, and even a general like him did not dare to be careless. What did you say? Chen Tian raised his head, looked at the falling lava boulder, and said calmly, "Oh, I remember. Red Dog, what kind of magma is this? It's only worthy of lighting candles at birthday parties." Although he couldn't remember what Whitebird said, it was probably this. As soon as the words fell, Chen Tian randomly slashed at the sky with a sword and rushed towards the heavenly palace at this moment. In a flash, he cut the largest meteorites coming towards him. As for the others, what did Chen Tian have to do with them? The group attack ability of Meteor Volcano has no effect on the extremely elite members of his subordinates. Those who will fall in this range attack are only the so-called Navy elites and Whitebird's pirates. Hey, Red Dog. What are you planning to do from such a distance? If you have the guts, come over and see if I can kill you. Chen Tian hooked his finger at Akainu under the execution platform, his face full of provocation. He was a little tired of dealing with those ordinary officers and pirates under Whitebird. It would be nice to find a big prize to fight. Anyway, he was not afraid of any admirals. Without saying too much, just the movement speed was enough to make him invincible. As for the others, wouldn't it be fine to chop him once or twice from time to time? Red. No, I don't know if it's because of the devil fruit ability, but Akainu has a bad temper anyway. After being provoked by Chen Tian, he also rushed to the battlefield directly. As for the issue of guarding the execution platform, look at the current situation. Can anyone rush to the execution platform? Besides, even if they rush over, what can they do? There is also a Sengoku marshal on the execution platform. Seeing Akainu rushing towards him and feeling the momentum emanating from him, Chen Tian's eyes condensed slightly. He can clearly sense that Akainu is much stronger now than a few years ago. He is worthy of being a man who can become a marine marshal in the future. He will continue to grow after encountering setbacks. It's just that he is not the same as he was 20 years ago. Akainu has become much stronger, but he has become even stronger. Without saying too much, with his current speed and the observation haki, that is no different from super intuition, he is enough to compete with Akainu. Moreover, his armament haki and conqueror haki have also reached a high level. Not to mention a general, even if there is another Chen, he has the confidence to win the battle. Chen. In the past few years, I have been thinking about getting rid of you completely, big fire. At this time, Akainu had already rushed in front of Chen. His arms turned into lava, and then blasted out fiercely, bursting out with a terrifying temperature. The ability of the magma fruit has extremely powerful lethality, claiming that it can even burn out flames. In the original war on the top, it was he who crashed through Whitebird and killed Ace. Later, he defeated Aokiji and took the position of the Navy Admiral. It must be said that Akainu's strength is quite powerful. If you want to kill me, the entire Navy headquarters combined is not enough. Chen Tian took a half step forward at this time, holding the hilt of the long sword with both hands, and the violent and strong power spread out at this moment. Secret. One sword cut, shatter the sky. The long sword fell, and everything in front of him shattered like a mirror, like a stone thrown into the water, and the bright moon in the water was smashed by the stone. Although it will recover later, the moment of dissipation is also real. At the moment of shattering, the sword energy like the waves of the sea surged in all directions. Is Chen Tian also a great swordsman? At this time, Vista, who was fighting with Ali, sensed Chen Tian's breath, and couldn't help but exclaimed. He had never fought with Chen Tian, nor had he really seen Chen Tian take action. So he only knew today that this extremely powerful captain of the 10,000 Worlds pirate group was actually a top-level great swordsman. On the sea, many people focused on Chen Tian's strong physical fitness and his weird speed, but they ignored the fact that Chen Tian himself was a great swordsman. After creating the two moves of Shattering Sky and Cold Spirit Shattering Sky, Chen Tian was considered the top among the great swordsmen. Boom. The sword energy and the lava collided, and a huge roar broke out. Fortunately, Aokiji's ability to withstand the Ice Age was still very good. Otherwise, with so many strong people fighting here, the ice under their feet should have been broken long ago. TSK, 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 I thought you were so powerful, but it turns out you are just like this. You only have this little strength. Did you not eat? Chen Tian swung the long sword in his hand twice, and then said with a bored look, as if Akainu's attack made him lose his spirit at all. It can only be said that this did not hurt much, but it was extremely insulting. Akainu was also angered by Chen Tian, but when he punched Chen Tian, the fist that turned into a liquid went straight through Chen Tian's body and landed on the ice continent behind him, without causing any harm to Chen Tian. Although he didn't react, his observation haki told him that Chen Tian had left the spot at the moment he rushed over, and returned again after his attack. The time between the two was so short that even the after image left in the spot did not disappear. Akainu's whole body hit the air without any force points, which was extremely painful. Push harder, okay? You almost hit me, or you can be faster. Chen Tian kept dodging, but each time he returned to the spot before the after image disappeared, making it seem as if he had been standing still, and all of Akainu's attacks passed through his body, but could not touch him. However, this was just the beginning. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.